morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to the latest episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. The podcast where, this week, I think my co-host and I are both a little worse for wear, but we're here, we're going to do it because we have some important topics to discuss. I am, of course, your host, Mr. K. Asante, TKO Asante on all the places we communicate. And I'm, of course, joined by my brother from another mother, the man who is out here taking knees left and right. Some call him the lawyer, Mr. Everborn Saga. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Sick as a dog.
Yeah, man. I know how you feel.
But we here.
First cup of coffee. Yes, this is the size of my cup of coffee. I have big man hands, so it's one of those days. It is what it is. What are we going to do? It's fine. So what's going on, man? Welcome to everybody that is here. I see some great people in the chat already. Shout out to the King. We'll do that from the top. King David, what's going on, brother? Good to see you in here. Shout out to Neo Mental and Soil Tech and Infinite Umbra and Rave Demos. We need to talk about that there, Dave, one day. see who you running from.
I see Link and Lucius Augustus here.
Yep, it's going to be one of those days. I'm excited. But before we even get this thing off the ground, I got to talk to you, man. You weren't here last week. Of course, we had the great Fox join us, but you weren't here. You were out there kissing babies and writing your signatures on the various comics that you were peddling, as it were.
Yes, we were at the Garden State
how it went. Yeah.
Winter Comics Festival. Had a lot of fun there. It's a smaller show, but it's always good to meet new people and kind of introduce them to the brand and the IP. So, me and the missus went out there for the weekend, made it a thing. The food trucks were terrible, but we there's a lot of food close by, so the Wawa nearby helped us out. But it was in Sussex, New Jersey, so I highly recommend that show. They have an anime fest that we're going to be at in May, so if you're into manga and anime, we will be there, but everything else will be there as well. Really good people over there. Cool. And I had a great time, and I think we're going to add it to our yearly show schedule. I also just put in the application for Anime NYC, so fingers crossed. Let's see if we get accepted in there. And we got a few more festivals in the summer, and I think and obviously NYCC. So a lot of things happening this year. Plus, I can't say anything now, but you know who is in here, and hopefully we may have something to announce at some point.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Understood. Interesting. All right. Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. On the topic of things we're going to be doing, it's good. It's a good transition. This show, this show in general, we're also going to be trying and doing a lot more this year. For sure, during that time in June when things happen, all that stuff, we're going to try and be in the spot as well. This time we're working on it. We're trying to get Mr. Everborn Saga to join us for June. It will be awesome if he can join us for June. We shall see how it goes. I will let you all know, for all those who continue to support us and always, with the super chats and the memberships and this and that. Thank you so much. All that will be going towards those shows and whatnot. Well, there's some moving and shaking afoot. Last year I was able to get to Germany. Who knows? Maybe this year that may happen as well. I'm not even asking everyone to come with me to Germany, but at least the June showcases and things. Hopefully we'll be able to get that off the ground.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm not saying we could be out here using shake weights and doing squats like the great Iron Lords, but we got to do something to give to the people that will help us get over there so that we can cover it from the GCP perspective.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So there'll be more. I think you and I need to align on that before we really like make a full effort of it. But yeah, there'll be more there. And I concur with you, sir. I don't want to be doing the no. I'm good. I'll leave that to better men than me. I see you in there, man, bro. Good to see you.
It's not that I don't want to do it. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I couldn't handle. No, like I said, I'll leave that to better men than me. It's fine. These knees are too old. It's fine. It's okay. But all right, let's keep it moving. Anyway, so shout out to the 85 people that are watching so far. We just got here. More folks are jumping in. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hit the like button if you haven't done so. If you're on YouTube, shout out to all the people on all the various platforms that are checking us out. We appreciate y'all. Mr. Everborn Saga, sir. You know how we do it on this show. We're gonna try and keep it concise today because I know you're under the weather, and I'm daddy daycare and the whole thing. So we're gonna keep it a little concise today, but we're gonna start with the games that we're playing as we do. And sir, I know you've been like digging into the indie crates, so we'll start with you. What games have you been playing this week?
I've actually been all over the place, so I'm going to ask for you to start, and then I am going to take you on a little journey of what I've been doing in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, very nice, very nice. Well, okay, so if I'm going to start, I will start by, and I have a bunch of different games I could talk about. I've been and shout out to the brother Pong Soul. I always give him credit every time I say it. As the grazer that I am, I always have many in the CD case, as it were, in the rotation. We could talk about Tokyo Extreme Racer, which I've really been loving. I want to make a video on that. We can talk about the final version. Well, not even the final version because they're still in early access. But Yoden Slayer is now in early access. I actually did a live stream of that. What was it, yesterday? Just from time to time, and that's another thing I actually should mention to the public. From time to time, when I have a minute two here and there, when I have 30 minutes to an hour free that I think I could do it, you may find that I'll be on here, jumping on the stream and live streaming and communicating with the people. So yesterday I did that in the form of Yoden Slayer, did that for about an hour. So it very, very cool, very cool game. Really enjoyed my time with that game. But because I am the grazer I am, and you want me to talk about what I've been playing, the one I'll talk about that I think most people will probably be interested in because it is in Game Pass now is Eternal Strands. I don't know, sir, if you're aware of Eternal Strands. I don't know if
I am aware of it. I have not checked it out yet.
Okay, so I'll show some footage. Yeah, I'll show some footage. I don't know if I can sell you on it, but I'll tell you what it feels like it is to me, right? I'll show you some of the footage while we talk about this. So this game, the elevator pitch that from my perspective, and shout out to King Webb. He says he's playing it right now, right? The elevator pitch to this game is, it's a very interesting premise. It's got the idea, I would say, it's if someone took the Breath of the Wild art style and formula. It's Breath of the Wild, a little bit of maybe Fortnite kind of energy, right? It's Shadow of the Colossus, and you'll see why I'm saying that when we get there. It's Breath of the Wild because of its physics system, right? Like you can definitely tell that they took lots of interesting ideas from lots of different sources, and they kind of put this together. It's light on story, but it's got a story, right? From what I can tell, they're using the story as a vehicle to basically get you to explore the map. What it is basically at the start of it is you're and by the way, I think some of the developers who made this game are also part of the Mass Effect, original Mass Effect trilogy. Like so some of the lineage. There's the BioWare people are in this. OG BioWare people are part of this team, and you can kind of tell in certain aspects, right? You are the point in a band and you're exploring. You basically you find yourself in this land where you don't know anything. You show up and the world is mysterious. All the enemies and everything else that is in this world you have no idea of, and you're there with your band, and they've basically created a small little village or a little outpost for themselves. And your job as the point is to go out, explore, bring back crafting materials, bring back, first off, the first thing you do is you go out, you explore the land, basically getting a lay of the map, right? And then it'll be, hey, this person needs this person needs that, we need this done, we need
I'm
that
getting
done.
arcane from the art style that I'm seeing here.
Sure. Yes, she, your protagonist, also gives me a lot of arcane vibes. Yes, absolutely she does. But it's an interesting game. I will say it gives you indie vibes. It gives me indie vibes because there's voice acting, but obviously, as you see, there aren't real cutscenes. I think one or two cutscenes really I've seen, but by and large, it's like this when the stories are delivered, but it is voice acted, right? And the voice
so all
acting
of this
is
all of there's a voiceover for all this.
Yes, yes. There's a voice actor for each character, and they're being voice acted.
Because the way my eyes are set up, when I got to be squinting on the screen to be reading stuff, I can't.
Yes,
It's not.
you don't have
My
to
eyes
read
are
it.
not
It's
like they used
actually
to.
voice acted. It is voice acted, all of it, and well voice acted. It's not just phoned in. It's actually well voice acted, all of them. So there's that. But you can definitely tell that they were on a tight budget, right? And you can ask questions. The dialogue trees. It's not decision making dialogue trees, but it does give you the option to interface with it in that way. So you get into the world real quick, and let me fast forward through this. This is not my footage, by the way. This is being from YouTube. But you get into the world real quick, and the moment to moment of it is what you won't like right off the bat. I will tell you, Everborn Saga, you won't like the combat. Why? Because the combat is Dragon Age light. It gets better, but it's not as mature as Dragon Age. But it's Dragon Age light.
Dragon Age?
Dragon Age the Veilguard light.
It's like that movie Civil War. It's like I'm an American. What kind of Dragon Age?
it's light, right? So meaning the at first blush the combat's a little shallow, and the learning curve is the protagonist jumps a little floaty. The combat's a little floaty itself. The enemies are a little spongy. It takes some getting used to, no doubt, right? There are invisible walls around certain places. It's very much an indie kind of game, and it has indie tropes. But the reason why I have stuck with it, I think I'm at like 15, 16 hours in. I will definitely be beating this game. I'll probably write a review for the gamingcircle.com. What I like about it is, as you like, and it's all about you and what you do, right? When you learn these systems, when you start grokking what they're trying to do, it makes the combat not as bad, right? Like, there's definitely a learning curve. If you came from Dragon Age, you will have probably a harder time grokking or getting connected to this combat, because it's different, just different enough to be a little annoying for you, right? And I happen to come from Dragon Age, so it took me a while to get it. But once I figured it out, I saw some interesting things they're doing. I even see certain Elden Ring tropes as well. You know, you got your flask. Eventually, it turns into Shadow of the Colossus a little bit, because the enemies are really monstrous, huge enemies, and they'll get bigger and more complicated. You know, you'll use the world, the physics of the world, like fire plants to burn enemies. You know, you pull it, you drop it. How do you pull it? You have telekinetic powers, as you see on the screen right now. You use to pull it, and you can use it to move things around the world. Anything you can grab it and throw things, including enemies. You also have ice powers. So right now you can't walk through the world, right? Because you basically burnt the environment. You could change to ice powers and then freeze the environment, so that the place where you froze it, you now have a path to walk, so it doesn't burn you anymore, right? So it is very interesting what they're doing. The boss fights get more and more complicated and more interesting. You know, I wish they spent a lot more on, as far as budgets are concerned. I wish they spent a bit more on this game. I feel like it could have done well with a bit more of a budget. But like, this is what Game Pass is about, in my humble opinion, right? Not a game that I personally would not have really given so much attention to. But first off, like the development gave me a code, so shout out to the developer for providing me a code. But even if I hadn't gotten a code, I would have seen this in my list. What was it, yesterday or 2 days ago? And I would have given it a try, and I would have spent a lot of time on it. It's a very interesting idea. If you like that indie gem stuff, it's worth your try. It's worth your try. And I think as time goes on, I feel like if enough people play this game, they will put more effort and more time into it, because you can definitely tell that its shortcomings are more of a budgetary play than lack of experience of the developer, if you understand what I'm saying. It just seems like they have a lot more in the tank, and this is all they could do at this time, right? But it's a very interesting game. I actually like it a lot. I think more people should give it a shot. You know, I haven't gotten to the end of it yet, but the monsters are getting more and more complicated and interesting, and so yeah, I am enjoying myself. Mr. Everborn Saga, sir, I know it's on Game Pass, you know, and if it's on Game Pass, that usually means you're buying it on Steam. Is this on your radar, sir?
It's on my radar because you put it on my radar. But I would
Okay.
like to be very clear. I only buy Game Pass games on Steam when they don't work as they should
I know,
in
I know.
the
I'm just giving you
Xbox
slander in the
app.
morning, sir. I'm just giving you a little slander. Don't worry about it.
All
I
right.
get you. I get you. No need to explain yourself. Go ahead.
Yes, no, but this is definitely gonna probably be one of those kind of CD keys discount purchases when it
Hmm.
comes up. I'll add
Hmm.
it to the library, just not right now. There's too many things on my plate, as I will explain shortly.
Okay. 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 Understood. But yes.
But I
So
do have it
mhm,
on my wish list, so when it does go on sale, I'll get a notification.
okay. But it's fun. It's fun. I've spent a good amount of time in it. The more you play it, the more of it's what's the word? The more of the game's inspirations you see, right? The more you play, the more you really see, oh yeah, this is very Breath of the Wild over here. And then you're playing a little bit more, oh yeah, this is very Shadow of the Colossus over here. Like you can just see it. Like they're really like pulling that energy to get that with their inspirations. And by and large, I think they've done a pretty good job in that, right? The while I say the combat is not the greatest, it's also not the worst either by any stretch. You're upgrading your armor, you're upgrading your weapons. Your camp is getting more and more mature as you do more of the quests and stuff like that. I really like it. I think it's pretty decent. More people should give it a shot. But anyway, Mr. Everborn Saga, sir, what about you? What is on your
All
your
right.
rotation this week?
So I don't know if we talked about this when I was here last, but I have jumped back into Metaphor, and I've been playing that.
Okay.
And I'm really engaged with the world, really engaged with the story. Obviously, it's a great story. It was nominated for Game of the Year, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a game of
Fun tip, fun tip for you. Based on recent interviews, Phil Spencer, a voting member of the Keeleys, voted for it as Game of the Year.
Yeah, yeah. But it is also a game of hurry up and wait. And I'm
Yes.
not familiar with the
It's a game of
Persona
movie
universe,
watching. Yes.
which is no. I'm fine with the cutscenes, but it is, hey, this thing's gonna happen in 7 days. Go figure out what you want to do for 7 days. All right, this thing's gonna happen in 30 days, right? So that's fine. But what happened is, while I'm waiting for the big story thing that I want to see happen, I ended up like going to another game. And then I went to Final Fantasy VII Remake because Rebirth had just come out, and I had gotten some code to get it for like $38. So I had bought it. I think it was from Green Man Gaming. But anyway, I said, let me go and try to finish Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I guess this is old news because I never finished this game. But I really enjoy Final Fantasy VII Remake until you get to the Eris section. And I'm like,
and then it slows to a crawl, and you just want to claw your eyeballs out.
So
yes.
like bad that I'm just like, when is she gonna die?
Yes. The best way to describe that section, and this is one of my favorite words, because the word itself explains how you feel about it. It's very lugubrious. That part. You just want to claw. It's like, oh God, get me out of here.
Walking around carrying flower pots. I gotta go back and forth. Like we're terrorists who are on the run, and now I'm carrying flower pots.
Flower pots. Yeah. Indeed. Right? Yep. And it's unabashed, and it just takes so long, and it just enjoys just reveling in the flowers.
All of the energy out of the great story that they're telling. And I'm like, I don't want to play this. So then I stick with it, and then I get through you got to meet Eris' mom. I won't give you any spoilers or whatever. I finally get out of her town. I'm like, all right, finally we're gonna get back to the mainline story. And then I see Tifa going off to do her OnlyFans for some thing, and I gotta save her out of a cart. What is going on with this game?
Have you gotten to the part how you save Tifa yet?
No, I just got the hand massage, so I know what's coming because it was spoiled for me. But Cloud is okay. Anyway, we're not gonna spoil it for those who
We ain't
haven't played
going
it.
there.
But
We ain't going there.
yes,
That's right. Yes.
but
If you haven't played up to that part, ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna have yourself some fun. But continue.
right. So I am. I got fed up with it. I just can't wait until we get to the pivotal moment where she's no more and we can like focus on the story. Hopefully that happens by the end of Rebirth. But then when I got frustrated for that, I went back to, oh, by the way, on recommendation from John Wolfe, I tried Crisis Core. This is like that was like a bare minimum remake, right? So, and it looks terrible on a 4K screen. So that
because there's no textures, there's no detailed textures. It was a PSP game that they've up-res, so it just looks really shiny and really empty. Yes. Yeah,
I think I'm gonna play that if I get back to it. I can't. I make no promises, but if I go back to it, that's gonna be a strictly handheld thing. Because I think it'll be less disrespectful to my eyes. So he says I never played Final Fantasy VII. I've played Final Fantasy VII many times, sir. I've never played Final Fantasy VII Remake. Let's be very clear about that.
And let's be absolutely clear about what remake is. It's not really a remake; it's a reimagining. So if you've actually played Final Fantasy
feels like
VII,
it's more of a sequel to me. Right, like,
well, because they tread original ground, but then they veer off in different situations where the original
but the main event still happened. So like, you know what I mean. Yeah. So anyway, it's a sequel.
Lucius agrees with you. Yeah.
Anyways, so on to the main event. This is what has been taking most of my time for the last 5 or 6 days. And I would like to give a shout out to MJ Dark.
I see a cool indie recommendation coming on. All right.
Yes. So apparently he told me about this a long time ago, and I just never got to it. And then I heard Jez talking about it, and I was like, "What is this blasphemous game?"
You hadn't played it before? Wow.
Never. I hadn't even heard of it.
This is what happens when you are a what do you call it? A launcher snob. When they give you free versions of the game, you don't even hear it because it's not on your launcher of choice. They gave this game for free. Blasphemous 1 has been given away for free multiple times in GOG and in other places. I think even Epic Game Store gave it away for free at some point as well. So awesome game. What is your experience with it?
So I went and bought 1 and 2. They were both under $5.
Yep.
I got part 1 from CD Keys and part 2 from Eniba. So I absolutely love this game, right? And I want you to look at what you have on the screen right now, because because I got 1 and 2 at the same time. I'm playing through 1 earnestly, but I said, let me just start part 2
to see the
see
growth,
what it looks like. I wanted to see what they did visually. So what you have on your screen right here, I think is more artistic than the full length animations that they do in the second one. I feel like the second one might feel a little bit too clean. And it's just the way that this is presented. It feels. So
tell people the elevator pitch. Give people the elevator pitch for the game.
So this is if Elden Ring and Diablo had an affair, and the baby was a 2D Metroidvania, pixel art, right?
Very religious iconography here and there. You
know? All over the place, right? And it is really like foreboding in the
atmosphere
score.
is amazing.
Right.
Yes.
And even the way the combat works and everyone is in like pain. It's like this is like a terrible time to be alive.
Yup.
And it just
you don't want to be there. You don't want to be there.
Yeah. How crazy religious zealots can get. And it's really, really well done in terms. And so I don't want to ruin the story, but I cannot get enough of this game, and I've been playing it. I think I have like 7 or 8 hours now in it, and I'm like 10% complete. So we'll see how.
So you in it for the long haul is what you're saying?
No, because I'm just looking at everything. Like all of the artwork is just so great, and I'm also stuck in a certain part that like I know where to go, but I just can't do it. I keep dying, so I just start exploring other places. But it's really well done. I feel like this is going to be my 2025 Soldiers for me, a game that has already been out and I just discovered it. Not discovered it in a Columbus kind of way.
In a Columbus kind of way. That's right.
I'm just saying, I discovered it for me. But it's really.
You don't hear me slandering you, sir. If you then say I discovered it this year and then you call it like something else other than blasphemous, then we got a problem. Okay.
Whatever. But you can see the detail that is in the artwork here, right? And it all feels like look at this boss you're about to fight. And it's the first one. They just start you off like this. Yep. Right? The presentation is just so good.
And the art style, the tools they use to present it, you would be like, how the heck can they do so much with pixel art? It's just insane.
Right. And so apparently this came out in 2019.
Oh,
and
you
see, you have the flash, just like Diablo.
Oh,
this dark time, just like kind of gives you very Diablo 2 vibes, right? But like the combo system and parry system just works because I love that they give you a good window for the parry. It's not one of those. So it's weird, right? Because you press parry when you see them like when they lift their hand up, not as it actually hits you. So if you try to parry when the blade or the attack is on you, it's too late.
It's too late.
You have to press parry before that, right? But look at this. Look at what you're seeing here, right? So now I don't know if you can show a little bit of part 2, but I just want to I want to kind of dissect why I feel like this feels like it has more to say than part 2. And I know the mechanics in part 2 or whatever, and they changed the button layout a little bit in part 2, and I kind of prefer this button layout more. But again, that's just a factor of I played them right next to each other. But part 2 just feels a little bit too clean, and I love that it's fully voice acted, right? Because you don't get a lot of that in these Metroidvanias. But show a little bit of part 2 and look at the opening, and I'd like to hear what people think. This is part 2, right?
Yep, part 2.
Yeah. So here's where I feel like it's just a little bit too clean, and I prefer the pixel art that they use for these cutscenes in the first one. What does the chat think?
And while we wait for the chat, I will say I do see the same deft hand that did part 1 on part 2. Although I do agree with you that the art style that they chose, the method that they chose to express that art is different, and in so doing, maybe it's a little less impactful than the first one. But I do still think that the person who put this art together, you can tell, is the same creative vision and the same skill.
Wait a minute.
That they really put together.
So Lucius, I want people to understand what I'm talking about. When you say beat the first game, I'm specifically talking about.
You're talking about the art style, style, cutscene delivery of what it looks like. It looks like they did a lot more with less in the first one, and that in the second one, their budget grew. But their creative juices didn't necessarily. Right.
I'm not making a judgment on the game mechanics of part 2 itself. I am only saying that I prefer the pixel art cutscenes to the
hand-drawn, more painted style. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and I'm sure this is a more complex game because this gives you 3 different play styles. You can pick what kind of weapon you what do you call it?
Yeah. So
Delroy says he prefers the original over 2. Yeah, I think
both of these are amazing games, though. Like, make no mistake, these games are like the reference design for Metroidvanias. They have been for some time. So
yeah, I think I'm gonna be locked up with these for the next couple of weeks to just play through the both of them, because I'm having so much fun with it. And again, the tone is so dark, but like I'm all about it. So
it's the
like,
grim dark tone.
yeah, like, but like, it's dark to the point of like despair, almost, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It's that religious despair. It's that uniquely religious despair. You know what I'm talking about? It's very good.
So
they're able to set that the world building is like very well done. Very well
Major
done.
Tech asks, I hope I didn't butcher your name, but how long is it? So I noticed at like, I'm a little bit less than 10 hours, and it says that I'm like 10-11% through the game. So but again, I'm kind of lumber. It probably takes about 20-30 hours to finish it, I would think, but we'll see. Maybe it goes faster and I'm just looking at too much stuff.
Okay. So before we continue, let me real quick. I did see we got a member chat in our member chat here. The great Sith Lord, member for 9 months. Shout out to you, Sith Lord. Thank you for being a member. He asks, any tip for installing an SSD on the Ally? Now, I'm assuming you're talking the OG Ally. It is a relatively easy process to open the back of it. Like they have 4 screws on the back of it. Obviously, power it off before you do any of this. Relatively easy process to open the back of it, and basically you can upgrade the SSD that you have in there. It's not as complicated of a process as some have it, but if you don't even want to go through that, there is another option for you if you want to add an extra SSD to it, and that is something like this. This one specifically is called the Save Point, and basically what it is it's a place where you can put an extra SSD. So let me take a look. Let me show you real quick here, because I happen to have this when you ask the question. So that's what it looks like. And all you do is basically you have this ring. It goes on the back of your Ally X. The SSD goes in there. You unscrew the back. You put it in there, and then it attaches to the back of your Ally X. And this plugs into one of the ports. And now you have whatever storage you have attached to your existing Ally.
But don't you have to be careful not to block the vents in the back when you do that?
No, the way this one's put together, like obviously you're not gonna put this in front of the vents. There's a place where you place it, and they've made the cable long enough to be able to place it. But it's specifically made for the Ally, and I think I've even used this on the Steam Deck, things like that. $50, very easy to get on Amazon. If you want to update your storage drive without necessarily having to crack open the hard drive, the thing, and replacing the original version, this can add to your existing and give you more storage space. So there's that. If you want to chat with me about it, if you want to know more information about it, you know where to find me. Shout out to you. Find me in the DMs, and I can send you the links to all of that as well. Shout out to the Real Big Rich. What's going on, Real Big Rich? First time I'm seeing you on this in our chat here. Thank you. With $5 super chat. Thank you so much for being here. He says, wanted to show some love. Keep doing y'all thing, sir. I appreciate
that controller for his avatar.
That's awesome. Clean. That's a good controller. That's a clean controller. Indeed, it is. Indeed,
I don't even play sports, but
nice. That's a clean controller. I like that. So salute to y'all. Thank you guys so much for being here, showing your love, showing the support. We appreciate it. So
Rick L says it's one of the most frustrating games ever. I'm assuming he's talking about Blasphemous. I got to tell you,
most likely, yeah.
I spent like literally 3 hours just trying to because the thing about the game is you have to get from checkpoint. This is normal, but like the way it's designed is if you don't get to the next checkpoint, all your stuff is lost. And the checkpoints are basically like the campfires in Elden Ring. So like
it's basically 2D FromSoft. Yes.
Right. So if you die, you have to go back and find your dead body so you can get your stuff back or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get to the top of a mountain, and I keep getting closer and closer, but then I die, and it's like all the way
from the bottom.
Right? They're so very stingy with the save points. So that has got. But you know what? every time I've died, and this is what they're good about, right? It is frustrating. I'm dying a lot, but every time I die, I can always tell it's my fault. It doesn't
Yeah,
feel
you
like
feel like it's not. It's you, not the game. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That is always a very fine needle that you thread, and the good games can do that, right? Where they beat on you, but you don't feel like it's their fault. It's your fault, and you can go do it again. You know, it's good. It's
Right.
good. I appreciate that. Yeah.
And I do go further each time. It's just like, okay, here's a new obstacle I didn't know about, and then I die, and then I'm like, all right, back to the bottom of the mountain. Let's go again. So, but yeah, it's really I don't think any AAA games are getting any love from me until this is done. So
very nice. Very nice. Speaking of AAA games, I have been finishing up well, I already finished Dragon Age, but I have been going in the back doing some of the like cleaning up some stuff in the background. So I've been also still finishing that up as well. So much so that this morning EA Play Plus charged me again. So I've been playing that game for 3 months now. It's gotten 3 months out of me. So there you go. It is what it is. I needed to make it so that this game would only be played to see how long that subscription service would last. It's lasted me 3 months so far. So there you go. There's that. EA got some money from me.
One thing I will give Elden Ring credit for is they were very generous with the save points, with the campfires. So like as hard as it was, there was always a campfire right next to you so you could get right back to whatever you're having trouble with. And I think that's the thing that kept me going throughout my whole playthrough of Elden Ring. This game is like they're like, I don't know why they're so stingy with the checkpoints, but it you know, it is what it is. It makes you less you want to take way less risks, right? So you know, so
because you never know when it's coming next, right?
Yeah, you walk around playing scared when you know the checkpoints are few and far between.
So ladies and gentlemen, well, before I even do that, any other games that you have that you want to talk about, sir?
Just what I'm another game that I bought but I did not start because I heard it had a lot of bugs is Spider-Man 2. Got it for $40.
You got it for $40. Good for you. Good for you. Okay.
No. I'm lying. I'm lying to you. It was $49 after tax.
Which still isn't bad. Still isn't bad. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, definitely not paying $70 for
I beat it on PS5, so I kind of don't want to. I don't. At least not now. I will most likely rebuy it, but I won't rebuy it now. I have too many other games that I'm playing. So
I started it on the PS5, but I only played the opening Sandman cutscene, so I don't know anything about where the game goes or whatever. But just like Ghost of Tsushima is something I always wanted to play, but just never got around to it.
You need to play Ghost. Ghost is awesome.
No, I bought it. I bought Ghost. It's in the backlog.
But you need to play it. I didn't say you need to buy Ghost. I said you need to play Ghost.
I'm a backlog bandit. I'll buy. You know how many games I bought on Steam and just like, oh, that's nice to have. It's on sale.
Yeah, but digital hoarder you are. I understand.
Yeah.
But okay, so what I want to talk about with the public today, our show will be a little different than what we usually do. Usually, you know, at this point, we'll break through some of the stories of the week and we'll discuss it, and it'll bring us to the bigger story that I want to discuss. This week, though, I want to get right to it. As you can see in the
45 minutes later, he gets right to it.
Right. Yeah. Because usually we're like 4 hours in, right? Usually 3 or 4. This time we're 45 minutes. We're getting to the crux of the matter because I want to really like analyze it from all aspects and all avenues. But that doesn't mean that our show will be completely different. If there are certain topics or certain things that happened this week in gaming that you think that we should be discussing, please throw it in the chat. I know that, you know, the moving and shaking that Microsoft has made in recent weeks. Everborn, you weren't around to discuss some of the interviews that Phil had on this show, so please, that's fair game. Obviously, some of the I said fair game. You see what I'm saying there? And obviously, the moving and shaking that PlayStation has done also has caused a lot of consternation in the public discourse. So that's also fair game. But we want to talk high level. This is what we're going to do for the rest of the show. We want to talk high level about exactly what the title of this episode is: A Tale of Two Platforms. right? And as we talk, I will throw some visuals on the screen as needed. But basically, I figured we discuss this way because I feel like for the past, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months, and shout out to all the folks that join us on the Discord. If you have not joined us on the Discord, you know, when this show posts, go into the description and click that Discord link. Join us there because we've been having a lot of very interesting, very deep discussions over the last couple of months at this point, right? Talking about all the moving and shaking on all these platforms. And I think more and more it's becoming very, very clear and very evident that what you know to be your brand, right? Your PlayStation that you loved, your Xbox that you loved, the PC platform, to a lesser extent the PC platform and Nintendo, right? But it looks like the way we knew things to be done is changing by and large across the board. How is it changing? It's changing in lots of different ways. And I kind of feel like it's worth a conversation. I think it's time for us to take stock, sit down and go, you know what? It seems like maybe that old business model that we're used to from our childhood and our entire life basically is now changing across the board. And I feel like it's something that we definitely should be discussing. So Everborn Saga, I think we should start from the top here. You know, obviously, this came about in the recent incarnation of this conversation, came about as part of the recent conversations after the earnings were revealed. We're still waiting for the full earnings on the PlayStation side, but Xbox's earnings have been revealed and are being discussed. Right? Obviously, there are lots of detriments here and there as far as hardware sales and this, that, and the third. But there are also some bright spots as far as active users and services and profits and the like, right? So it and obviously combine that with Phil's recent interviews, and it looks like they are definitely as you have been asking them to, you and many people have been asking them to. It looks like they are now basically ripping off the Band-Aid, right? They've taken the mask off. They are no longer kumbaya. They're no longer, oh, we're just doing this, we're doing that. Oh, don't worry about, nope, all of it. Forget about it. We're doing this. We're having different conversations to our public now, right? So, Everborn Saga, sir, what do you think of the recent rounds of conversations that Xbox has put forth? Uh-oh.
No, I'm here. I'm here. Just trying to get off of mute. So I think what it was said this week is what should have been said a year ago, right? I think that there's been a lot of damage done to the perception of the brand from the fans. And if because the story has kind of changed over time, right? When you start with, you have the rumors running wild, and then you have the just for games, but not everything is coming, and they're not Indiana Jones, and then it's Indiana Jones, and then
real quick, shout out to the great Destin Legary, new channel. He's been doing this thing for a while. You know Destin. He's the one who got the interview. Gamertag Radio also did. We talked about it a little bit last week, but of course, when we're discussing the things that they brought to this conversation, we must give them credit. So shout out to Destin for his great interview. Please continue, sir.
So I you know, and then moving that to no red lines or whatever, which is fine, and I think what they're doing makes sense for them in light of the ABK purchase, and we can talk about that. But I think there's a little bit of when he speaks now, you know, he's only speaking for the moment, right? And that means you can't really take what he says, and you can argue, well, you never should have took what they said. That's fine. But at that point, if I never should take what you say to the bank, then I don't really need to listen to you speak.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of people are. And I think a lot of people that still have feelings about this would have processed those feelings if they were upfront and didn't let the rumor mill take them all over the place. And that's why I think that's why we are where we are. Now there's other people like Umbra. Shout out to Umbra, and he was on the Infinite podcast last night arguing with Attic and Doc. Friendly debate, but energetic debate. But Umbra was pointing out that what he said may have been true at the time, and things change, but I don't know that matters, right? Like if I tell you one thing and then things change, okay, but that means I can't really take what you say, right? Promise is a promise. So, but again, all that out of the way, I think if we look at what they're saying, what was more interesting to me than the whole talk of exclusives, because we've adjudicated that, we've processed it, we've known this for the last year. For me, is what he talked about in terms of what they want to do to bring the Xbox experience to Windows, right? That to me, right, is a lot of what I think that's where I think they can see success. So if we look at when Nintendo had trouble in the console space, right. So what Hidden Rogue is saying, things change every 6 months, apparently. So this is what I mean. So when you have that feeling, you can no longer trust the words that people are saying, whether they're truthful or not. They might not mean anything 6 months from now. So this is what I mean. So and Dorian Gray, let's not confuse the ramblings on the timeline with people posting stolen pictures of broken Xboxes or using ChatGPT to create an image of a broken Xbox. I saw that. Let's not confuse that with the conversation we're having here, right? And if you say you should never be a fan of a corporation, that you're just not following what I'm saying, but we are in agreement that these interviews with the corporals are not very useful at all, right? So again, but back to the matter.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
But let me ask you this question. What do you say? And I hear what you're saying, right? And I can acknowledge, and I do recognize that we've been going through it for some time with this specific platform, right? What do you say to those like John Wolfe, for example? And shout out to John, great John Wolfe. No, we're not throwing him on the bus.
Yeah, I'm just messing with
you. It's a valid critique he has, right? For those who say, look, as Hidden Rogue has said, as you were just saying, right? Like because things change so drastically or so frequently in among their ranks, that maybe when they start to speak, people will start rolling their eyes now. Maybe there's a quote unquote Stankonia on the deliverer of the messages. What do you say to those who say, hey, we hear you, they're moving on now, maybe they're doing new things now, let's get new representatives to speak for them, we're tired of seeing, say, Phil Spencer?
I guess what I'm saying is I don't want any corporal representatives, right? I think what they did at the developer direct was perfect. You didn't have anybody up there except the developers. Show the games, because clearly that's what matters, right? So you can argue that's what should matters, but to them, they're telling everybody, focus on the content that we put out and not where it's going. So if that's the case, I don't need to see you, right? All I need to see, because it's a sort of transactional thing, which is what they've been pushing everybody towards, is hey, let's put a game out. Do I like it? Then I'm gonna get it wherever I'll feel like playing it, right? But these interviews don't do much for me. Now this is the point, right? Make console published games, yes, like take the emotions out of it. Xbox is big enough to do both. Make consoles published games. Let's face it, they have over 30 studios. They're positioned to navigate a changing industry. And this is a very important point, right? I think, and I want everybody to go back and think about this. You can feel however you feel about the Xbox as a brand and the messaging and whatever else, right? But compare Microsoft Gaming, which is all the publishers that they have under it, XGS, ABK, ZeniMax, Bethesda. Compare what they have in terms of roadmaps, what they're doing in terms of showcase, what they're doing in terms of release schedules, what they have in terms of IPs that you care about. And I would argue that as a publisher, I mean, they've literally moved to be the biggest publisher in December. We'll see if that carries forward. But like, to me, they have the most IPs of any publisher that I care about, right?
Sure.
Like,
sure. Okay.
you're not going into an EA or even a Capcom showcase as excited as you are with the breadth of IPs that they have. So I think going forward, the way that I look at them is they are the largest publisher in the world. They are I think of them as a third-party publisher first, and who is so large that they happen to have a platform, but the platform is just one endpoint that they support, right? And so, you know, they like, if you think of Microsoft, they have Office, right? Like, they don't keep it to Windows. It is on. It's on.
They used to, though.
Run Windows.
They used to, though.
In the Balmer days,
but it has changed. Yeah, obviously, yeah. What do you think? What do you think about Aaron's statement here? And shout out to Aaron for being here. Always here in the chat.
Xbox will be cloud moving forward. Anyone expecting console moving forward will be disappointed. So here's the thing. I think that there is, and I've been saying this, and you know this, Kay. I've been saying this before the whole Just 4 Games thing, right? Before the community imploded. The path for them is to move Xbox to be software. It won't just be cloud, but remember, they own Windows.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so to me, the best thing they could offer their console-specific customers, because they got a lot of customers. They got customers on PlayStation. They got customers on PC. But to me, the winning formula here for them, and that the formula will be different for Sony, which we will talk about later, and different for Nintendo. But for them, you know, PC gaming is growing faster and is larger than the console business writ large. And 90% of it happens on their platform. And so I think that if they can bring the same experience that I have on my console to a mode of Windows that sort of works like the Steam Deck, but still preserves all the compatibility that Windows offers, at that point, I think you kind of inoculate yourself from all of those power arguments, because people can build a machine with a 5090 and still run your Xbox software, right? So to me, that you merge where you're strong, and where they're strong is Windows, and that'll never go away. So to me, what Jason Ronald said at CES, and what Phil Spencer iterated, is the most important and interesting thing for them going forward. Because at that point, I don't think it matters where the games go. You don't have to worry about your library going away if they can transition to PC. You don't have to worry about losing your experience, and if you like their controller or achievement points or whatever. And at that point, if they can pull that off, it would be hard to sell me a regular console if you're telling me I could buy a pre-built or build my own thing that has, you know, 4090, 5090 thing, and still play my games at whatever, and get games from whatever store I want, right? And again, I know people are saying, well, how are they going to work out
the logistics of
Steam? I don't think you have to work out a deal with Steam when you're Windows.
That's not your problem. Yeah, that's not your problem. Like, they'll figure it out. They got
the point is, if it is Windows, you can get however you do it, whether you want to do it through like logging out and then going into the desktop mode, whatever it is, how you do it on the Steam Deck. If you can give me the Steam Deck experience, but in Windows with Xbox, to me, all is forgiven. right?
Okay.
And I think you're in a competitive space in the future against a company that is only going to provide a traditional box that they define what it is, right? I think that is the win you can pull out of this. One other thing I want to say, because I want to hear what you have to say, is we know they're going to be a huge supporter of the Switch 2, right? I think that's why you're going to see everything go over there. And a win you can pull out of this, because again, I think what's happening is a lot of Xbox customers and fans are saying, yes, you're doing what you need to do for you, but what's in it for me? And don't say the games, because I'm paying you for those. I'm paying you for Game Pass. I'm buying games on your platform. You're not giving me anything extra. You're just saying you need this. So how is this making my experience better? Right? And I think one way you can do that is when this Switch 2 comes out and they port all those games over there, if you make sure they give every game the Indiana Jones treatment, where
everything carries over,
your saves carry over, your achievements pop when you get them in the game, and so you can sort of play the Series X on your TV and then pick it up exactly where you left off on the Switch. So the Switch essentially becomes your Xbox handheld until the official one comes out. Like that, to me,
that's powerful.
Right. Yeah, and again, I see Captain Chat saying you worry about console. I believe they don't need to be making bespoke hardware anymore. I think they should make an OS that can run on any piece of hardware.
And anytime, anywhere, anyone says console, here comes Floodzilla saying the thing that no one wants to hear. He says consoles are irrelevant, all in capital letters. Yes, I hear you, sir. Good job. Show it to you.
Right. So
okay.
So this is the thing.
Real
it's
quick.
Not about the specific hardware itself. It is about the experience.
Let me pull out something from the chat here, and this will dovetail into a super chat that they left as well, which is Yuzu Ichikawa. I think is how you say that. I appreciate you. He says, "What if you don't care about any of their games as far as Xbox is concerned?" And they follow that up with a super chat, and they say, with a $5 super chat, thank you. You say you got people everywhere, but you don't got me. I'm MS free completely. So first, Yuzu, I will ask you, is this something that you have come to, or is this something that you never was a fan of their games in the first place? But let's assume that you were a fan for the purposes of this conversation. What do you say to those people, Everborn, who are now in a place where they're like, I don't like the decisions that you're making. I am disappointed at one decision or another, and you've lost me. I'm not gonna, frequent your wares again. What do you say to those consumers?
I mean, you say go with God, right? Like, they're only gonna win you if they have a game that is worth your time at that point. And I think they're fine with that. So here's the real thing for them, right? And I hate saying this, right? But
and to answer the question, they said a bit of both, really, meaning they probably weren't really huge fans in the first place, and then of course the moves that are being made now are disappointing them, so that's why they're out. But yes, thank you for feedback. Continue, everyone.
Yeah, I think the reality of it is when you look at this thing and you try to say, well, you don't know why they're doing this, they're gonna lose in the end. I think the reality is, if you look at the numbers that ABK used to put out when they were still an independent company, and you look at what their margins were and what they took home every year, you could even, like, they took home on several years more than Sony did. Right?
Yeah.
And so, and you can look this up. You can go back and look at the past financial statements, right? Where Sony will make 25 billion, but have 6% margins, right? And
for
7,
those who don't understand what
right.
that means, the margins means the take home. It doesn't matter how much you make; it's how much you actually get to keep in profit for yourself, and that is far less than how much you brought in. Right? You got to take away the marketing, you got to take away the R&D dollars, you got to take away all the extra things that got you the money.
Just 1 second, real quick, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Dorian, you said no
Mhm.
corporation is going to leave money on the table for your feelings. Get over yourself. Here's the thing, right? If people are not happy with your product, they're not going to buy it. Nobody just like they don't owe you. I'm going to use my one. They don't owe you shit. You don't owe them shit, right? So it's coming off as a little bit, and I hope you don't mean it this way, but it's coming off as a little bit corporate bootlicky, right? To say that they don't owe you anything as a customer, right? You're spending your money, so you need to be happy with what you're spending your money on. And if the way you're talking is like you can't make a complaint or you can't say I'm going to spend my dollars elsewhere. People gonna spend their money wherever they want. And if the company is not giving them what they want or what they expected or what they sold them on, then they're not gonna mess with them and they're gonna voice that opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. But
and that's fair. That is indeed fair. It is fair. Yeah. Okay.
So
real quick, because we're having this conversation, I'm pulling some parts from the chat to add to this conversation. Captain Chats, great Captain Chats in the chat, says seeing Forza announced for PlayStation did hurt though, but it is what it is. I do, however, like the way Xbox is shaking things up, and he believes that now more than ever the industry needs a shakeup. So, what do you think of that?
Yeah, right. I listen. Forza hit 43 million customers on Xbox and PC alone. If this thing goes to Switch 2 and PS5, I think we're in a world where this thing could touch 100 million users.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that is what's best for that individual title. And coming back to the point that I was making before, and I think this is where Dorian Gray will agree with me. Like the reality is ABK on their own, even though they were making about $8 billion a year versus the 20 whatever billion Sony was making in profit, they brought home more because for them, the high margin business is putting your games everywhere, right? And you may say, well, what about the 30% from all those other games? You're getting 30% of other people's games that publish in your store. But guess what? That store isn't free to run, right? Yeah, you got to make hardware to be able to have that store locked to it. You have to do marketing. You have to do all these other things. And that's why the margins were 6 to 12% for Sony for the last 8 years. And in Activision Blizzard, they were around 20%, right?
Really quickly to add to your point real quick on the storefront situation. At least in the Microsoft example, they own their own data centers and they can actually fund their own store. In the Sony example, for example, their store is funded and run by AWS. And as a person who has systems in AWS, they are nickel and diming you for every bit of compute you use. So whether you have things in the store or not, just the store itself is costing you a lot of money if you're running it off of AWS, right? So that is very much a good point. Yes.
Well, it still costs, even though it's robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah. Like, it costs Microsoft as well. It costs Microsoft as well, but it costs Sony even more because they have a bill to pay, whereas Microsoft has a chargeback, right, from one department to another department. Yeah.
Right. But my point is they're like so people think that they're leaving money off the table and this is gonna hurt them in the future. I don't think it is. I think the reason people are not happy with this is because I think they realize they'll probably make more money by being everywhere, and it'll give them less incentive to focus on what some people care about, which is
what some people care about,
hardware. That's right. And so the thing is, if we know how much money Activision was making, imagine if Activision bought Bethesda and then had all those IPs. And then imagine if Activision and Bethesda got together and took Xbox Game Studios off of Microsoft hands. Like that, the kind of money you imagine in that way is astronomical. So for them, they're just going to be everywhere. And those who choose to play in their ecosystem, they'll take the 100%, but that 30% from all those other people for them is worth whatever sort of loyal fans that they piss off. Because again, I can give an example. At work, my manager or whatever, he wanted to get a console because he wanted to play Minecraft with his kid and do whatever, right? He doesn't know about any of this that we're talking about right now, right? And he had an Xbox before, so that's just what he bought now. And if you're looking at the data and what games most people are playing, right? Because you can look at this for the last, I don't know, 5 to 7 years, it's been the same 7 games in the top 10, right? They know where the money's being spent. And so the thing is, I think they're just banking on the people that don't care so much about this. And that's the majority of their customers. And because they have ABK and they have that cash flow, it is hard to say, well, ABK is making more money by being everywhere, but we should keep Sea of Thieves and Forza off of being everywhere, right? Because in 20 years, they've never been able to do the kind of margins that ABK was doing. And so I think that's the reality of why this is happening. But if you are a customer and you want to still choose to engage in this, in their ecosystem, when you could go to another, they're just going to have to win you back. One, they're going to have to do it on games, which you can buy now in your new favorite place.
Whatever hardware you want to,
and if they want to,
you feel necessary.
Right. And if they want to bring you back into their ecosystem to where you're buying your games from them, there's going to have to be something in it for you. And for me, that is the OS, right? But we'll see how they get there. So
check this out. Roshan Eppinger, what's going on, Roshan? He a great member of our community, always watching our shows. We appreciate you. He says MS will make money, but they already lost me as a fan. He says I was a big fan, but I'm out now. Diehards have dropped. What do you think of that?
But how many diehards are there really? And what I'm going to ask is, okay, you're out. And this is the real thing. And this is a hard truth for hardcores, right? I'm going to tell you guys this.
Are you playing Doom the Dark Ages?
Right. No, hold on. I want to know how many people that say they're out cancel their Game Pass subscription.
Yeah.
Right? So if you didn't cancel your Game Pass subscription, you're not out. And guess what? I hate to break it to you. They already sold you a console. Right? No,
but even if you did cancel your Game Pass subscription, even if you did sell your Xbox, are you playing Doom the Dark Ages?
No, but there's different levels of getting out, right? Did you sell your Xbox, or did you move to PC but you still got Game Pass? You're not really out, right? Did you cancel your Game Pass?
Timper21, shout out to Tim. He says turned off his auto renew, and next gen he's out.
Yeah, see, here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. I hate to say this to you, but I think you're gonna fold. I think half the hardcore that says that they're out, when they show you that handheld or they show you whatever, you're gonna be right back there, and you probably never canceled your Game Pass subscription. So you can say, "Oh my God, they're doing this; they're gonna lose the customers." The fact is, most of you motherfuckers ain't going nowhere.
They know they got you. They got
right?
you.
And again, it's so many levels to getting out. Did you move to PC or PlayStation? Did you cancel your Game Pass subscription? Are you going to boycott COD and Indiana Jones and all of that?
Shout out to J Mac, member for 12 months. He says, I can't wait till people tell the truth about allowing themselves to be so attached to a company that doesn't know they exist. It's your fault. Oh boy. Shout out to J Mac. He's giving some hard truths this morning. Link also in the chat saying people don't want to lose their libraries, friends lists, gamer score, etc. And then finally, the great Lucius Augustus, who was also on our panel last week. Shout out to you, good sir. He says, if PlayStation wasn't actively taking experiences away from them, people would be less angry. And I think he's speaking about why people seem to feel disappointed at the fact that Microsoft is moving their games over, but it looks like Sony is not doing the same, and that is obviously upsetting the hardcore. So honestly, I think this is going to be a conversation that continues on for a while. I agree with you, Everborn, that I think that the way that Phil has been speaking.
Sorry, one second. Can you
go ahead.
highlight Lucius Justice's last comment?
Lucius says, sounds like Everborn and Microsoft think they can't lose their customers. We'll see about that.
Okay, Mr. Lucius Augustus, friend of the channel, moderator. Let me ask you a question. You gonna play Avowed?
and by the way, people, for those who don't know, and if you don't know, join the Discord because then you'll know. He already got this man by the balls, as it were, because we already know that yes, I know that Avowed is like his favorite, like it is his most anticipated title. So as much as he's like, hey man, they lost their customers, you still there day one, either with a Game Pass sub or some cha-ching ready to play Avowed, so they still got you. Is basically the point.
So again, and I am somebody who because I have huge beef with the current iteration of the Xbox app and how it works. Yes. I have a Game Pass subscription that lasts until 2026 in October.
This man is this cold-blooded. He's like, I got a code for Avowed.
So here's the thing. You got a code for Avowed. Are you telling me if you didn't get a code, you wouldn't have bought it or used your Game Pass subscription, which is not expired? You want us to believe that?
It is what it is. He didn't pay for it, so it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
No,
cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the future now, before we move on. Before we move on from Xbox,
you're still an MAU. Sir.
Yes. That is literally the long and short of it. You still count as a head count in their numbers, which if you don't want to count as a head count, unfortunately, it is what it is. Victor Allenstein, shout out to Victor, $2 super chat. He says, welcome back, Everborn. The dynamic duo is back. Thank you, sir. Appreciate all the support. You know, always in here being slanderous as well, Victor. Appreciate you being here. But let's talk about the future of what we think this platform will look like, and then we'll move on to the other platform. So, with what we know now, for what we know now, right? We know that they will, at least next gen, right? It looks like there will be a console, right? Hybrid or otherwise, there will be a console. So it appears, right? We know that most, if not all, of the games that come to that console will also be available elsewhere. When will it be available elsewhere? In what context it'll be available elsewhere? We don't know that yet. But it's not day and date as it hasn't been officialized as day and date, but who knows, right? We don't know because by the time we get to that next gen, quote unquote, you know, things may have changed, but we don't know that. All we know is if you are an Xbox user, you still got Game Pass. You're still getting those games on Game Pass, first and third party, right? And also those games at some point, whether that be Forza, which we've already heard recently has been officially announced to PlayStation 5, or Gears, or any of those other games, most likely will be going elsewhere, right? What do you think that spells for Xbox and their business model moving forward? Do you see them being successful in that? Or do you think that the hardcore are right and that all of a sudden in short order, there goes the console? What do you think?
I mean, I think that everything they're doing. So here's the it's weird, right? Because I think a lot of the times we're trying to find a simple way to explain a very complex and multifaceted business. And so we want them to be one thing, right? We want to say it's all about Game Pass, but the truth is it's not all about Game Pass. We want to say it's all about cloud, but the truth is it's not all about cloud.
It's just all about,
right?
It's a little bit of everything.
A lot of us want the main focus to be the console, but it is not.
Definitely not.
You bought two very large multi-platform businesses, right? And so I think that we have to understand that multiple things can be true at once, right? So they can de-emphasize the console as the main vector into their ecosystem while still making one, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be at the high volumes. And I always give this analogy. How many cars does Mazda sell a year? Do they sell more than Toyotas? Do they
I'll
sell
be honest.
more than Volkswagen or Tesla?
Mm-hmm.
No, they have a certain position in the market, and that position makes them money. Nobody says, well, I guess Mazda should pack it all up and stop making cars.
Yeah,
Right?
because they're not the number one car maker. So if you're either first or you're
Isla
last.
Day
It's
and
not
night.
that way. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, they know the reason it is so hard to get people away from PlayStation and Steam is because of the libraries they've built up there, right? And I think they just look at it as they have a position in the market, and you as a customer, they know that the reason you're staying there is your library. So they're doing whatever they can, whether it's cloud, whether it's maybe one day playing your console games on PC natively, or whatever it is. They're just trying to move your library forward as a way for you to like continue to be in their ecosystem, right? Because what they're saying is they prefer if you were in their ecosystem, but we don't believe that we can force you away from other ecosystems. So we're just going to come meet you where you are. But again, it doesn't mean they don't.
Choice. They're not forcing you. They're just making sure that if you want a choice, you have a choice, and one of those choices is them.
Right. And and again, you really have to understand that most people don't know about this. I think sometimes we get caught up in this, like, since we try to be in the know and we pay attention to so much of this stuff that we think that our view of this is the larger market.
Is the only view. That's right.
Right. Yes. And there's a lot of customers that they can serve because, again, most people that are subscribed to Game Pass Ultimate, which is like Game Pass Ultimate is 80% of the Game Pass subscribers. And most of those people
is a big market.
Are console. So unless you think that they want to get rid of the Game Pass business or shut down the billions in revenue that they get from those people who play on that platform, even though maybe 5 or 10% of us hardcores have left, if you think they don't care about that, so they'll stop making a device for those people, that just means you think they don't care about money. And you know they care about money because you said they're putting their games on other platforms to make money. And so I think that the first and third party offerings will be the majority of their money, but they don't want to. The same reason they kept around Xbox Live Gold for so long. You know why? It was a stupid service. Money. But it made money, right? And as long as people are spending money on that console, and again, it might not be you, right?
Yeah.
But think of the person who plays Madden 2K, COD, and those things, Minecraft, Roblox, Fortnite, and they don't give a crap about any of this stuff. So they're gonna continue playing, and they'll be oblivious to what we are so upset about. And again, one could argue if you're this hardcore about gaming, you probably should be on PC. Like if you know what mesh shaders are and you know what ray tracing is, you might not want to be on PC in the first place.
See, and this always concludes my mission. Then I can walk away because Everborn Saga has gone full circle. Started with arguing with me, and now using my talking points. I'm done. I'll see you later. Goodbye, everybody.
Yes, I've been red pilled.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you swim in the PC waters and you see you got floaties on, maybe it's time to take those floaties off.
Anyway, but
if you don't see you got floaties, maybe it's still good. You know, I've been saying this for a minute.
To say the multi-platform approach is not something at this stage you should be upset about anymore. And I don't want to hear when Halo Master Chief Collection or Gears, I don't want to see another breakdown again. Like they put Forza. That's it. Just the same way you don't get mad when Sonic shows up on a Switch. I still kind of do. But
well, we already know you are a Sonic warrior, right? Right. Sonic console warrior or whatever. Yes.
So again, the same reason that you don't get surprised when a Persona game is everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, now you don't. For a little bit there, people were.
yo,
right? Because
sure,
Persona
sure,
games
sure.
were
I'm
all
just
elsewhere.
saying,
That's right.
like you have to give up the ghost, right? Like,
Yes.
this is
Yes.
just what it is, and we don't need to jump out the window. They've told you. They've told you what they're going to do. They've been saying it for the last year, but they've been mealy mouthed about it. That's why people don't trust them when they speak. And so now you know. And they followed up Phil's latest comments with, let me just drop Forza on your head. So forget about it, right?
Just a little bit of bang.
Just decide what's your favorite controller, where the most of the games you want to play are at, and play there. And that's it.
No.
They make enough money
so,
as Microsoft to support a console and being a third-party publisher.
So let's move on to PlayStation, because this show is called A Tale of Two Platforms. You know, as console gamers, we play on two platforms, PlayStation and Xbox. And the narrative here that I am proposing and that you're helping me, the needle you're helping me thread, is that the companies that you know, the platforms that you're aware of, that you're so comfortable and confident that you know their moves, you may not know what you think you know, right? Their logos are still the same. Those seats are still available, but the people that sit in those seats make a lot of changes, is my hypothesis. And it's seeming to be that way. But before we get to the PlayStation proper, let's finish out with some of these super chats, and then we'll move on there. The Winter Soldier, which I love that name, The Winter Soldier. By the way, rewatching a bunch of the MCU stuff, I just watched The Creation of the Winter Soldier. Great movie. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it. Winter Soldier, $5 super chat. He says, I own more than 2,500 games on Xbox. I feel very nervous about their next-gen plans after seeing their hardware crater, so I hope multi-plat strat works. I feel you, sir. I have faith. Based on some of the technology that I know and some of the moving and shaking here and there, you know, I don't think all 2,500 of your games will move forward in perpetuity forever, but I think the bulk of your games will be fine. Like I have almost 1,000 games on Xbox myself, so like I don't want that platform to go away by and large. You know, I think we'll be fine. You may lose a few here and there as the transition happens, but I feel like you'll be fine. We'll see as we get closer and closer. Shout out to the great J Mac with a $5 super chat. He says the fact that grown men are sad and upset because someone else gets to enjoy a game that they enjoyed sounds a bit mental. Grow up. Xbox has. Ooh.
So shout out to J Mac, but I don't know. I don't know that I like that.
I'm loving that tough love right there.
I don't know that I like that characterization of it. Right?
Go ahead.
Some people are upset about that. Yes. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is this: it's not about whether you care that somebody else gets to enjoy your game. Like there is a legitimate concern that the hardware may go away. I don't believe that it will, but it is trending in that direction. And this is why every time an executive comes out, they have to remind you, don't worry, we still care about hardware. You wouldn't have to keep saying that. Like if Sony does an interview or Nintendo does an interview, they don't have to remind people we still care about hardware, right? And so if you're worried about the hardware going away and they have not introduced yet a way for you to take your library forward in whatever happens, then it is a legitimate concern.
True,
right?
True.
So that is part of when you see people feel certain ways about this. And I get that, right? Because they have to prove that these moves mean you won't lose your library. And I don't think they've said it, but they've said a lot of things. And then things changed. And then they look at you like you crazy when you say, hey, you said X and now you're doing Y.
Now, Scott Gamer Dude, $5 super chat. He says, I've been a PC gamer until the Xbox One S. I switched the console because tired of the gaming Windows experience. Ironically, the market is shifting to PC. Yeah, you left it and now it's coming back to you. It is what it is. But hopefully they thread the needle to the point where it continues to retain the convenience of console while still giving you the dynamism.
Hey, did you see Paris in the chat?
Oh, I did not see Paris in the chat. Where's Paris? No, I have not seen Paris in the chat. Where's Paris? Oh, I do see Paris in the chat. I do see Paris. He changed his logo. Shout out to Paris. Changed his logo. Didn't see him. What's going on, sir? Shout out to you, good sir. Appreciate you being here. And of course, the Septic one is also in here. What's going on? We got the heavy hitters showing up all of a sudden. Appreciate y'all for being here. Thank you. And then of course, Link with a $2 super chat. He says Halo will play better on the DualSense.
Shut
anyway.
your damn mouth.
Wow. Holy, that is some slander this morning. What are we doing right now?
We got
that is
time
painful.
Out for 180 seconds, man.
That is painful, like and that. I know a lot of people who won't want to hear that. It is what it is. Nerds and Other Legends, $10 super chat. Thank you for your support. He says, I will be 98 years old. What? I will be 98 years old and senile, and I will still be yelling about how they should have bought Sega instead of ABK and selling the Xbox as Dreamcast 2 in Japan. The what ifs will haunt me. You are a member, you are a gentleman who belongs with us, because I've heard that exact talking point from multiple individuals. They
should have listened to us.
Yes, multiple individuals. So salute to you for the great super chat and the great support. Thank you so much. Let's see. Oh, of course. And Yuzu Ichikawa, $2 super chat. He says, no DualSense is better than pad. No, the DualSense is a better pad.
That is scientifically false.
First off, I don't think it's a better pad, and I know it's in the eye of the beholder. I'll get you on that. But objectively, the battery doesn't last as long, so there's that. And then, of course, let's move on and talk proper PlayStation. And in order to do that, I will let Lucius' statement start us off. And he's saying, Herman got demoted. Take that slow-mo backslap. I hope he's in the chat. Anyway, let's talk about PlayStation real quick. So, again, we call it a tale of two platforms because I feel like I keep reiterating it. The PlayStation, well, not even the PlayStation, but all the known platforms that we've loved, that we've been championing for as long as we've been championing them, seemingly like football teams, right? Take your sports analogies, have different coaches, have different management, and when the management changes, so too does the priorities and the elements of what those teams that you know and love are, right? So what brought all this conversation about? What brought it about is the recent expose, recent news that Schreier recently wrote about, and it opened the floodgates, and a lot more information has come out since then. But we're talking about the list of canceled games, the list of live service canceled games that PlayStation that is now known that PlayStation has canceled, right? In addition to that, there's obviously the restructuring. I won't even debate that thing. The restructuring of the dual CEO roles and Herman Holtz and where he is now. We'll talk about that one, whether it was a demotion or not, because that's been a heated debate within our circles. And then, obviously, what do you call it? The failed games, the games that come out and then quickly got closed, things like that. So again, that paints a very different picture than the PlayStation that we have known and loved for the years that we have known and loved them, right? So again, it is once again proving my point that using historical reference points to continue to prognosticate on the future may be ill-equipped a little because of those different decisions being made. So as we have this chat put it on the screen right now, is basically a list of, 9 games that PlayStation has canceled that we have now found out in one way, shape, or form. There are some still coming out, but it spells some very worrying signs. Everborn Saga, sir, let's do this. What do you think of the PlayStation platform? You know, you've been following it as well as I have, right? And now we see what we see with it. What do we think the next 2 years will look like for Sony PlayStation?
I mean, I think it's very interesting. And I see a lot of talk about the Herman Holtz stuff, which we will get to. But every one of these games that you see on your screen, canceled, released, TBD, right? every one of them, like before Hulse got the promotion to co-CEO, he was SVP overseeing Sony's first party, right?
So basically, he was Matt Booty before he got the promotion.
Pretty much. But what that
Kind of.
means is
Yeah.
what that means is he oversaw all these projects.
Yeah.
So what does that say?
Yeah.
Right. So the other thing about it is what, in terms of what they look like in the next 2 years, it's interesting because if you look at the new sort of executive org chart, it seems as though the Sony PlayStation, the SIE that was primarily driven by the people in the West, right? The Jim Ryans, the I don't know, the Connie Booths, right? Right. All these people, they're now gone, right? Ted Price is gone.
That one hit me. That one hit me because I love Ted Price. I think he's like the definition of a statesman when it comes to developers, sticking close to the facts, always about the games. I've always appreciated how he threaded the needle with the various platforms. Great human, or at least great representative, I should say. Yeah.
Right. And so I don't know if Shuhei was here in the States, but Shuhei is also gone.
Yep. Yeah, I loved Shuhei. Shuhei was my favorite Sony exec. Like by and large, he was my favorite. Really. Yeah.
Right. And even before that, in 2019, Sean Layden, who was running the show, leaves. And so to me, I wonder if the management in the East is sort of closing ranks. When you look at who's running everything, from the CEO to the CFO to Hideki Nishima. I don't think I'm pronouncing his name right, but my point is, when you look at the fact that with the management restructure, how they're kind of moving it back over to Japan and having people in the same rooms to make certain decisions in ways that they need to make it, Nishino, so Hideki Nishino. That could work well for them, but I do wonder, when you look at these canceled live service games, does this mean they are gonna try to pivot back to, the weird Sony, as some would call it, meaning more things like Astrobot, right? As opposed to just greenlighting anybody with a pitch that has live service in it. And like, it's hard to say which way they're going to go. And I see a lot of people saying, do they move to PC day and date? Now, I believe
it's seeming like that's coming more and more closer and closer to fruition when you start like reading some of the statements they're making, right?
But there are people that argue against that say, if you look at their games, they're not doing well when they do day and date, and they'll point to Spider-Man only doing 23,000 concurrents, and they'll point to, well, Concord was day and date, and Lego Horizon was day and date, and those didn't do very well, and the numbers from the subsequent games after the first Horizon have gone down. I think the issue is, like, barring, they all say that and they ignore Helldivers, but whatever. I think the issue is we don't have an instance of them putting out a high profile game, meaning a game that will get the level of marketing that a Spider-Man or a Ghosts of Tsushima or something like that warrants, and then doing that day and date, right? The games that didn't do well are either old, and there's so much competition right now, a lot of people are just not going to go back and play an old game, right? Or the ones that are day and date are just subpar games, so they don't chart because they're just not good in the case of Concord, or mediocre in the case of Lego Horizon. right? But when they are good, look what they can do, a la Helldivers, right?
See, but some argue that Helldivers was a beautiful accident that they just capitalized on. They didn't expect it to be as grandiose as it became. So like it wasn't really their mission to do what they did. It just they kind of fell into it, a happy accident, as it were.
Right. Another thing to point out, though, I think we do have a little heavy reliance on the concurrent numbers of Steam.
Yeah.
Because Spider-Man was the #1 selling game on Steam when it came out, right? The day that it came out, at least. And I bought it and didn't even boot it up. I didn't even download it yet, right?
Well, see, so the concurrent numbers always make more sense when we're talking about something with a multiplayer component, right? Because that tells you that people are actively like engaging with it right now, right? In that context, it makes less sense to me in a single player context, because it's like exactly to your point, right? Like I may jump in a week later or something. Maybe I have something in my backlog, but I want to be part of the conversation day one, so I'll buy it, but I'll jump in a little later. Doesn't mean I shouldn't count towards the
look at Silent Hill 2, which never charted on the PlayStation.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it had a similar concurrent number to Spider-Man, and that ended up selling 2 million in that short amount of time.
Yeah.
So we can't really go by the concurrent numbers and just proclaim something is a flop or not. Now, what I will say though is I think when you're talking about growing outside of the console and a multi-platform approach, I think the reason you're seeing Xbox put games on PlayStation today is because they've already tapped the PC well, right? Meaning they're already releasing their games on PC, every one of them. So now if you need to find more users, where are you going to go? And where you're going to go is what they've done. And I say this to say, for Sony, I don't see them putting their games on Xbox because they really have a long way to go into tapping into the PC day and date market. And they can find many new users there before they even have to think about putting anything on Xbox. Right? So, but again, in terms of where they're going, I wonder if we're going to see more Astrobots and less remasters and remakes.
Interesting. See, I've always seen those remasters and remakes as a stopgap solution while they're building new games, right? And obviously, to me, the remasters and remakes makes a lot more sense now, looking at how many games they've had to cancel, right? Because it hasn't been new teams that have joined the mix in order to make these games. By and large, it's been changing the trajectory of the existing teams to build these things. So when you cancel them, now they got to go back to the drawing board and start from scratch, right? So, like, I don't know about others, but I've always seen these remasters and remakes as a means to an end while they retool and they come up with new ideas for their studios, right? Like, it just seems like it's something they needed to do. Yeah.
One other thing to notice, right? All of the sequels that they've done this generation, meaning God of War, Spider-Man 2, Forbidden West, all of them have done less sales than their predecessors.
True. Yeah.
Right? And I think because while they are proper sequels, none of them are like what their predecessors were new engines, so new world, something that feels new. And so these are just sort of extensions of the next one. It's like a sequel in the same generation in the old school parlance. And I'm not saying they need to redo the whole game, but I think the games, maybe they don't feel new enough. And that's part of the reason they're not selling as well as their previous counterparts. So
your client Sycamore is in the chat, and he left a super chat. So let's get to that right now. Sycamore with a $10 super chat. He says the same people that were championing exclusives and the ABK Bethesda to Xbox are now switching up, saying, "What's the big deal? Everyone gets to play." It smells of hypocritical posture.
I think he meant to say hypocritical. That might be a typo.
Sure.
The super chat thing
what do you
kind
think
of messes up autocorrect all the time.
I know it always does that. It always does that. What do you think of his point, which is, you know, the people who were super excited about, oh, we get to stick it to the other guys because we got exclusives now. Now exclusives don't exist. They're just like, everybody gets to play. Who cares? What do you think?
I mean, at a certain point, you have, like, again, we were all there because that's how we know the market. That's what we expected, right?
Yeah, that's what they've cultivated in most of their
also
time. Yes.
That's literally what they told us. So you wouldn't be out of your mind for thinking that, but I think a lot of people have had a year. I think a lot of people have had a year to process this, and they've just kind of said, like, it felt like a lie at first. I know I didn't believe it. I thought it was a port begging psyop. To quote myself, right? But then, like, if you see it happening in front of you, like at a certain point, like, look, you broke up with the girl, you moved on with your life, you got married now, and you still worried about who your ex is dating, right? Like, you got to let it go, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right?
Indeed.
So
Stop pretzeling your neck backwards to see what she doing back there.
I mean, some people are moving the goalposts and pretending this was okay the whole time. And I know that specifically, especially if you had like a condescending tone in the beginning when people were saying this is going to be bad, right? Like, if you told people, don't worry, and it's not like everything's going, and then as soon as everything's going, then you're like, well, actually, this makes perfect sense, right? Like, that is the thing that I think people are pushing back at. But I completely understand with people who did not believe this at first, who don't like the idea to this day, but they have no choice. It's not their billions of dollars, right?
So for the record, I am the type of person who thought that all of them were going day one. I thought that it would be fine still. Don't worry, you'll be all right eventually because they'll figure it out. And I still stand on that to this day. I didn't think it was no big deal before or only 4. I was just like, and maybe we should address that a little bit too, everyone. And I guess that's going back to Xbox, but still, that idea of just 4, that to me was their Achilles heel. That was their problem. They shouldn't have said just 4. They should have ripped the Band-Aid off then. Even though, as we've discussed, had they ripped the Band-Aid off then, there would have been no games to gobsmack you with, right? Today, when they rip the Band-Aid off, there's Doom the Dark Ages to gobsmack you. Today, when they rip it off, they have so many other games to just like kind of smack you across your face with goodness while delivering you the perceived
Here's the
bad
problem
news.
with that. Here's the problem with that. They already promised you this game with these games that are coming out now that you had to wait for. They promised you these already, so you're not really getting anything extra. They promised you these before the strategy shift. So I think the reason you're seeing people kind of push back is what am you're doing this because that's what you need. What am I getting out of the deal?
What are you getting for the equation?
What I already paid for, right?
I feel you.
So, but to move that discussion forward. There's a lot of people that have just championed the ABK deal, was like, yes, Xbox is finally going to get a win, and guess what? Now that's not the case, and you can walk around and still be mad about it, and you can hold spaces or do whatever about it, but none of that's going to change it. So some people say this is an old thing. Do not stress out about things that are not in your control.
True.
Right? True. And some people are just stoic in that way. So they just say, whatever. It doesn't matter if I don't like it. It's happening. So I'm going to do what I do and play what I want. And if I really don't like it, I'm just not going to mess with them anymore as a brand. And they have not moved the goalpost. They're just not going to be as boisterous about it as some people.
As they used to be, yeah, that's right. Neo Mental, the great Neo Mental. Shout out to the great Neo Mental. It's been a minute since we communicated, sir. I hope you're doing well. He says the DualSense is not better. It is too early in the morning for you to be this high.
He's right. He's
talk
right.
that talk, sir. Right. And by the way, Karate Laundromat, great name, by the way. He says you are getting day and date, and Play Anywhere is better than exclusivity. So some people, even today, are still championing the fact that, hey, they see this as a plus. Right? They see it as a plus.
So I would push back and say what's better than Play Anywhere is having a single platform where you don't have where Play Anywhere is only a thing because you have to support
because they have multiple platforms they have to traverse. Yes,
right.
Because they need bridges. But, yes.
Right. If you really wanted a true Play Anywhere, right, it would be like if you bought this game on Steam or PlayStation or Switch. We're gonna give you the license on your Xbox.
Yes,
right.
That is true traversal. Yes, true traversal. Ooh, okay, interesting. 30 below, $10 super chat. He says Sony is going through a rough patch. This criticism is not fair and unwarranted. # let's move on. What do you think, sir?
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Do you
hold
agree
on.
with him?
Hold on a minute. 30 below. We just spent the hour talking about all this Xbox stuff. You didn't say move on. As soon as we come to some Sony criticism, you like, wait, hold the phone. We gotta stop. No, let's. As a matter of fact, we even did it ourselves and went back to Xbox. Let's go back to Sony and how Jim Ryan got demoted. We're not moving.
Well. Okay. But to your point, and I'm not being facetious, but we do have to talk about that because a lot of people have been going back and forth in our community about this very point that you mentioned, right? With the latest news, right? That all the moving and shaking and the reorganization, right? Reorganization of Sony and all of this, right? Herman Holtz, who, if you're not aware, who did say that Concord would be their Star Wars, right, has been restructured to a different position. Now, I say restructured to a different position because the consternation, the fight, as it were, is some say he was demoted, some say he was not demoted. That is the question of the day. Was he demoted or was he not demoted? Now, I will get your opinion on it. But just to kind of really lay it flat for everyone to see, we also recently saw the retirement of Shuhei leaving PlayStation, and he had a great interview on Kind of Funny, and based on those interviews and those conversations that we saw, Shuhei all but said they basically fired most of those people, right? Cleaned up shop, so it seems. So with all that in mind, what do you think of Herman Holtz's position at Sony, and was he demoted? What do you think?
Okay, so I have to ask. I'm going to answer your question with a question, and then I'm going to read some documents. Okay. Now, do you believe that Herman Holtz was promoted back in May?
Yes. He was promoted to co-CEO role. Yeah.
He was promoted to co-CEO role, right?
Yeah. Him and Nishino became even Steven
and that gave
colleagues.
And what was he doing before that? Before he was
before then he was booty, right? He was booty. He was basically managing content for SIE.
Okay. But he was still managing content after that.
Yeah,
right?
Yes. He was managing content. That is the way Sony moves, which is weird. They don't take a hat off of you when they give you a new hat. They add hats to your existing hat. So the role you were doing, you continue doing, but then they add a new role to your existing role. So he did get a co-CEO promotion, but he was still continuing to be booty, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
In the booty.
Right. And now, today, he is still running the first party studios.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, he is.
But
what he's no longer doing is he's no longer part of the co-CEO role. And what makes me go, because I'm either here and there on both on this debate, but what makes me fall on the side of demotion is back before, him and Nishino used to be colleagues, even Steven. Now he's back to being booty, and Nishino is above him.
One again, I want to be fair to this argument, right? One could say if we are two store managers and one of us gets promoted to district manager, doesn't mean that the one who didn't get promoted got a demotion, right? It just means your coworker got a promotion, and now you have to.
Well, okay. So it seems now, if you want to go down this analogy, and again, this is just me asking the question. I'm not sure either way. I've even asked like ChatGPT, and depending on when you ask, it either says yes or no. It's a whole thing. Yeah, it's yes or no. It's a whole thing. But like to that analogy, what you're describing now, it seems to me that it's like they were both working on the same team, right? Even Steven on the same team, and then they were both promoted to co-CEOs. Before they got promoted to co-CEOs, they were both on the same team. And then they both got promoted to co-CEOs. And then it looks like Herman got put back to where he was, but Nishino stays at that new place.
Okay.
That's what tells me that's what makes me think that Herman got a demotion, because they both were at the same level. They both were promoted. And now Herman is back to where he was.
Okay. Right? So, let me read to you, and everybody, I want you to put on your reading comprehension hats.
Yeah. Let's.
I am going to read to you 2 paragraphs.
Yeah.
I am going to read first the paragraph of the promotion on May 24th, May 2024, right? And then I'm going to read the January 2025 reassigning, whatever. And then you guys tell me what you make of this. This is for you, Kay, and this is for the chat. So this is from May 2024. And I see Link is still here, and Link is team. It was not a demotion as far as I can see on his timeline.
Sure.
So I would like to hear his opinion specifically. We do not have slow-mo. I can't admit that I'm wrong. Backslap in the chat. So we won't get his feedback here. But I hope he listens to this on the replay, and we can argue that in Discord. Now, let me read this statement first. So this is from May 2024. Holst is currently serving as SVP and head of PlayStation Studios and is responsible for developing content across many devices, including PlayStation consoles and PCs, and bringing video games IPs to new mediums such as film and television through PlayStation Productions. The PlayStation production team is working on several game adaptations and developed the Emmy Award-winning television series The Last of Us, an adaptation from an award-winning game. In his new role, this is important, this is the last sentence, in his new role as CEO of the studio business group, Holst will be responsible for development, publishing, and business operations of SIE's first-party content. Right? We got that?
We got it.
Okay. So he was responsible for studios, but his new role, he is the CEO of Studio Business Group, and Holst is responsible for development, publishing, which he was before, and business operations of SIE's first-party content. So we follow. Now, and by the way, this is from Sony's website. This is not from another website who's trying to interpret it on their own. This is Sony's official press release. If you guys want the links, I will share you the links. Now, this is from January. Nishino will continue to serve as CEO of Platform Business and as CEO of Studio Business Group. Do I have to read that again?
No, he'll continue to serve as CEO.
So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna read that last sentence again. In his new role, this is back to May. This is talking about Herman Holst. In his new role as CEO of Studio Business Group, Holst will be responsible for development, publishing, and business operations at SIE First Party. So let me read it again. What they said in January. Nishino will continue to serve as the Platform Business Group and as
a new co-CEO role,
as CEO of the Studio Business Group. Right? And then it says Holst will continue to lead the development, publishing, and business operations of. So Holst's title didn't change.
No,
right? He's still CEO, but it does say that Nishino will serve as the CEO of the Platform Business Group and CEO. This makes no sense,
right?
Because Holst is still there.
This is why I can't be. This is why I can't be definitive one way or another
from Japanese.
Yeah, this is why I can't be. Although he still retained the CEO title, he's no longer the co-CEO, and Nishino is above him, which tells me demotion. But because of the way you described it, because I've read it as well, it doesn't read as a demotion. It reads as a restructuring and a different roles being given to existing folks. So it doesn't technically read as a demotion, but it sounds like someone demoted them but didn't want it to look that way, so they created different roles.
Yeah, I still think part of this was probably written in Japanese and then translated for.
So the translation lost something.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. It's saying that Herman Hulse will continue as the CEO of Business Group, but then the first sentence is Nishino will have both those roles. Right? So it's very strange.
But yes, look, and we would forgive you for not understanding or picking one side or another, because
wait, let me finish the paragraph.
Don't know.
Let me finish the paragraph.
Go ahead.
The next sentence is Hulse will continue to lead the development, publishing, and business operations at SIE's first-party content. He is also responsible for developing games across many devices, including PlayStation, consoles, and PCs, and bringing video games IP to new mediums through whatever. So I don't know. I think it's 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. But we may be lost in translation here, unless you believe that co-CEO is what's taken away. And that is where you're saying it's a demotion, but they're saying he's still doing the same job. I will argue, though, like, letter of the law, I don't think it's a demotion, but like practicality, like
that's exactly it.
Because here's the thing: at this stage, you do not announce that you're also firing Hulse, right? You don't announce that he's firing at all. You say he's leaving, he's going to announce his retirement, but you don't do it at this time. So I like you can't do Concord and then have 12 canceled games and there's no
and then get nothing. Yeah, right. There's something going on there, man.
Something going on. To me, when Jim Ryan announced his retirement, I think we all kind of assumed like this is like you're forced into retirement.
He's being retired. He didn't retire. He was being retired.
But
that's what happened.
Continued on. He continued on as the CEO while for 6 months, and then Totoki became CEO. So what I am wondering is Hulse okay, or is he just in a closet like they put Shuhei?
Yeah. Alvin with $5 super chat. He goes, regardless of what Sony PR statement, we all know Herman has the katana of Damocles hanging over his desk. Hashtag demoted.
All right, let me. That was good.
That's good.
That was great. Shout out to Alvin. I do want to highlight Link's comment because I did ask for his take specifically. So
let's see. Okay,
right, yeah, I got it. All right, so part of the thing to recognize is that when they were increased to co-CEOs, they may have had some more responsibilities, but that's because when Totoki came in, he came in as chairman, as the top guy, as a chairman and the top guy. And then he follows up and he says, so now that Totoki leaves the role, the restructuring gives them final positions, with Totoki no longer being the top person and Nishino taking the top spot. Again, as usual.
And if I understand this, this means when Totoki first showed up, well, and Totoki was always there, but when Totoki first showed up and entered this specific fray, he took Ryan's job, and then the two Hulse and Nishino went underneath him, and now Totoki has given his position, which was Ryan's job, to Nishino, right?
Correct.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay.
All right. So last thing Link says is there could be an argument of lowered responsibility with restructuring, but he's still in a number 2 position, which he shared
the number 2 position before.
This is true.
Okay.
But what I would ask, like, Again, letter of the law, not a demotion. Spirit of the law,
very much a demotion. It seems
right?
that way. It seems, that's why I can't fall one way or another, because just like you, the letter, if you read it, it's not, right? If you ask ChatGPT, they'll say, well, based on what it was written, it's not. But the spirit of the law, kind of, sort of, you know what I mean? Kind of, sort of. So, yeah.
All right. What I want to ask from the chat is, judging by the new structure, judging by the fact that they're kind of moving away from the sort of European and Californian led SLT, so to speak, the senior leadership teams, right? Judging how Layden, Booth, Price, Ryan, Yoshida are all gone. The old guard is all gone, and is only Holst left. And
how long does it take before Holst is gone?
Right. Is Holst still at SIE by the end of this year?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Does Holst make it to 2026? Whether you feel he was demoted or not.
That's a good question. Well, okay, before we, and I want to ask that question for our chat.
Oh, no, put it in the poll.
Ask that question for the chat, but I already have a poll, so let me close one and then I'll start a new one. The first poll was Herman Holtz. Was he demoted? The answers were definitely demoted or not a demotion. 78% of those who answered say yes, he was definitely demoted, and 22% say no, he was not demoted.
What I would like to ask the 72% is, what is your console of choice?
So what is the second poll you want to do again? What's the second
poll? Will Holst be at SIE by the end of 2025? Like, will he make it to 2026?
Will Holtz make it to 2026? Yes, no, vote. Please do. Now that's an interesting question. And while we do that, the great John Wolf, $5 super chat. He says Herman's CEO status as non-existent as Xbox exclusives. So there you go.
Ooh.
There you go. The slander is raw this morning. It is what it is.
So basically, he's CEO temporarily and just by happenstance.
That's right. And he's managing a bunch of ghosts who don't necessarily are there. So he has authority, but authority on who? On what? Who knows? We don't know. Yeah. But okay. We've been slanderous.
I need to ask the two because Big Bad Mo asked something. What do you think happens to Ben?
Yeah. What happens to Ben's studio? What happens to?
Here's the thing. They've had their pitches like decline for Days Gone 2. And now they've had their multiplayer game shelved, right?
Many multiplayer games, yeah. But
so
I got you.
How long are they going to have to fund this studio between releases? How long does it take to pitch another game, go through prototyping, go through the alpha stage, go through the different rounds of the go, no go rounds, right?
What do we think about that? Real quick, Karate Laundromat, he says Horizon is by far Sony's best-selling game, and that's why he is where he is.
They also just canceled the Horizon MMO and Horizon.
There is still one still in the works, though. There is still one still in the works. There is still one Horizon thing for now. Yeah.
Right. Lego Horizon didn't set the world on fire, and they just canceled a bunch of service games, and they do these things at quality gates. So if that service game is not up to where it needs to be, right? Again, I come back to when can we realistically get another game from Ben? And we are in the year of our Lord 2025, and what they're working on just got canceled
because it was said in the chat. So I have to set it straight. At least doing quick slight research. Sony SIE's best-selling franchise, oddly enough, is Gran Turismo with over 90 million copies sold. So there's that. Continue.
Yeah, but I think he's talking about like individual game, right?
Are you talking? Yeah, like answer that question, Karate Laundromat. Is it individual game, or are you talking IP, the whole IP? From an IP perspective, it seems to be Gran Turismo with 90 million, and that's of course over all of its various games. So, yeah,
so what I think is interesting is, I think, like, in hindsight, obviously, would the better strategy for them is to say, we've got these popular IPs, let's farm them out to, you know, Chinese or third-party studios to make games with our IP instead of telling
he meant
our
Zero
studios.
Dawn only, but he's right.
Yeah.
Zero Dawn only sold 24 million. So he's right on that one only. Yes.
So,
Continue.
but what I'm saying is, would it have been a better strategy to say, let's focus our teams on what they know how to do, and then
farm it out to these
people
live
who
service makers. Yes,
right.
yes.
And I think what we're seeing is jumping in the live service game head first is not easy. And we all said this, like when Jim Bryan was saying we greenlit 12 service games, it's like, wait a minute, do you know how to make a service game?
Yeah, and oh, by the way, live service games are not what your fans seem to love. They don't seem to love live service games. So why are you doing that? You know what I mean? So yeah, it was.
Well, I think this is another kind of, I don't want to call it a lie, but I think it's another misconception because, or not. Let me not say that. This is another thing of the hardcore thinking that they are the majority.
Are the majority
they
of being spoken
into
to
live service because they had the data that the most played games on their PlayStation console store were live service games. So that tells them, again, reading the Excel sheet and not reading the room, or it just tells you that you don't matter as much as you think you do as a hardcore. So you can say their base doesn't like service games, but that's just not true by what games make the most money on their platform.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there is a reason they were running all over the place trying to stop Call of Duty from becoming the competitors' platform, right? Because they use that to fund a lot of their games. So it makes sense. Absolutely does. Makes sense. But okay, let's put a bow on this conversation. And in order to do that, I will ask, just like I asked for the Xbox, let's ask the PlayStation. What does next gen look like for PlayStation? We know what Xbox's next gen looks like. We don't know if it'll succeed or not succeed.
We don't know what Xbox's next gen looks like, but we hope.
Well, we know we have a rough idea of the roadmap, hardware, software, game combination, right? We know what they will look like in the next 2 to 3 years, right? We know what they'll look like. Will they be successful in it? That's up for debate, but we at least know what they're planning on doing. What about PlayStation? What do they look like 2 to 3 years from now? Right now we're in 2025. 2 to 3 years from now, we're talking 26, 27, 28, right? Which means we're heading towards the next gen, and most likely next gen hard. Do we see next gen hardware? Do we see more of the same? Do we see day and date on PC and elsewhere? What is their strategy for Switch 2? What do you think, everyone? Do you think that
first of all,
Switch becomes the reference design that everybody uses?
I think that Marsh in the chat is correct. We know more about PS6 than we know about what the actual Xbox hardware is. We have rumors about the Xbox hardware, but we have actual leaks about the PS6, right? We know they're going with AMD. They announced they signed a contract with AMD. We know that they're going to take the pisser forward. We know that there's 2 SoCs that they're targeting. So is that a SNX situation, or is it a handheld and top box situation? I think because of where we are, that they may go the handheld route. And I think by the time we get,
I'd be so excited if they did. That'd be amazing.
2029, they'll have one under the TV device and one proper handheld. And I think that they're going to be in a different position, because whether Xbox is competing with them or not head to head, they are going to be in a situation where the Switch 2 is out, but the Switch 2 will have access to most of the games that they have access to. And if you want to go to battle toe for toe with like first party exclusives, you will lose if you're Sony. Right?
Yeah.
And so I think they know they have to have a handheld at this point because the technology has moved forward such that you can play a lot of the same games just with a lower resolution.
Yeah.
And
by the way, most people don't necessarily think this way, but they already have a vested interest. They already have an interested market. If Sony were to announce they have a handheld in the works today, there's a whole bunch of us that'll line up because I still love my Vita. It's still in my case. I'm still a huge fan of the Vita. I loved what they did there. And those of us who are handheld lovers from way back still remember the greatness that was the PSP and the Vita and all of that. So the minute like Sony comes full bore and says, hey, here's our new offerings, people will take them seriously because they've seen their efforts in the past be very successful.
Well, here's a question.
Yeah.
Was Horizon a one-off? Because I see Dorian Gray says no first-party touches Nintendo. Oh, I think he's saying it the wrong way. Like you can't compete with Nintendo's first-party. I thought he was saying no Sony first-party will touch.
That's already wrong because
will
they
put
Lego Horizon there. I think that
the experiment wasn't successful, so you have to take that into account.
No, it wasn't. No, the experiment was definitely not successful.
That was the IP, and maybe not the offering.
You know, I actually think that much like Microsoft, they're going to continue experimenting in this way, and they may see better results with other games. So I don't think that the experiment necessarily failing in the form of Lego Horizon will stop them from moving forward. I think you see more. Right.
Let me ask you another question about a 2 SKU strategy, right?
Okay.
And I hear a lot of people say this. It'll be a handheld and it'll be a traditional box under the TV. And this goes for Sony as well as Xbox.
Okay.
If that is the route you are in fact going, right? And we talked about this offline. I don't care if you're Sony or you're Microsoft. Do you release those two devices on the same day? Or do you space out the releases? Because unlike a Series S or Series X, a customer is going to buy one or the other, unless they're buying multiple for a household, right? Aren't you capping one off at the knees if you put them both out together? Because people may not have the income to buy a whole $500 handheld and then a $500, $600 box under the TV. Like, don't you want to? Since one customer may find use for both of those, do you separate the release of those things as opposed to dropping them both on the same day? What do you think, Kay? And then chat, I'd like to hear what you think. If you're releasing a handheld and a traditional box, do you release them on the same day?
I actually think that's a very interesting question to ask. I see reasons for reasons to do it and reasons not to do it, right? We've seen these companies release like family of devices all the time. You've seen that happen. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that they announce a new family of devices. But I do see what you mean when you say with the idea that you want whatever you're releasing to be a special snowflake, right? You want it to be like, hey, this is the Halo device. And by Halo, I don't mean the game. I mean the device that everyone should want, right? And the minute you have two devices that have two different strategies and two different SKUs, and to a lesser extent, the disc-based and the non-disc-based did that in the PS5 era, but it was still the same device, right? One had discs, one did not, but still fundamentally it was the same device. But if you're talking about two different SKUs that actually have two different profiles, like really different, it makes it difficult to continue to peddle that special snowflake narrative while offering two different devices. So I do hear you. Like I don't know. I can't necessarily see them going one way versus another one, right? Maybe you release the handheld first, right? Get people excited because and that is an interesting concept, because if you think about it, like I do that myself all the time. Where when I play a game, those that know me know that I play on handheld quite often. I have a big machine, a big PC, but I also play on the smallest devices. I tend to play first on my handheld and then play on my PC after. Why? Because if you, in my mental situation. If you play on the biggest dog first and then you play handheld later, it's a drop. Whereas if you play on handheld first and then you play on the big dog later, it's an uplift. So I always end up doing it that way. So I think some of that may be in the soup here. But again, there's a lot of unknowns. So I can't, me personally, I can't say definitively one way or another. But yeah, there you go. Maybe it's a hedge. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in the case of, I see King Webb says do one in the spring, one in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's too close, but it's not a bad idea. I wonder if you got to do one year and the other one the following year, right? And then I see in the chat they're talking about just kind of release a handheld with a dock. It is too expensive to do that, unless you are doing something that, and it's a lot of complications that go along with that. So I don't know if they're going to want to introduce something like that. But if you're releasing a Windows device and just leave it up to the user to figure out, now we're in a different ball game, right? So
yeah, but then you're also back in the world where there are those who want the CEG device, which is not just Windows. Right?
Sure, but it should be Windows in the background and work that way, right?
Sure,
like
absolutely.
So this is why I think, right, like the win for Xbox here, and I don't know how I don't, because this is gonna sound weird, right? But like, how does Sony react? That this is what I was gonna use the word combat before, but I won't use that word because people are gonna start crying in the mentions. But how does Sony react if Xbox transitions to an OS that can bring the console experience to any hardware that somebody can buy, right? So they come out with Xbox OS. I put it on the 4090, and it's still a PC. It's just a streamlined interface. So I've got all the compatibility of all those stores. So library is not really an issue, or sorry, available games is not really an issue. Could you, and I'm asking the wrong person because I already know your answer, but you chat, if you're choosing between a console experience that you can put onto your TV, but you get to decide the hardware that's in there, and the driver experience is streamlined like it is on the Steam Deck or your console, and it's controller first, all that. It's a console by in name, but the innards are just whatever you can build. And you have access to all those stores, so you're not going to lose content. Do you choose a walled garden over that?
That's the question, right? We already saw people in the chat already say it, right? Play anywhere is better than exclusivity, right? It's what you get, right? It's what you get, and inherently, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Mr. Everborn Saga. I think people are right in that. You get with Play Anywhere, you get stuff. Your game traverses wherever you happen to find it, hopefully, right? More places than you normally would get. Whereas exclusivity, you just have the knowledge that you're a special snowflake and what you're playing can't be played elsewhere. I don't think that's worth as much as Play Anywhere. Me personally.
So, Link responds, the cold truth. You're going to like this one, Kay. The cold truth. As a matter of fact, I'll let you read it.
Link says, here's the cold truth. The console experience is still not console. Will work better and bridge a gap, but console will be more optimized. There's a man with some knowledge. You've heard me say it. So it is what it is.
Yeah, but I am of the belief that the Steam Deck is good enough. And I can give you, like, again, these are anecdotal examples, right?
Yeah.
I have given away 3 Steam Decks now. One to my niece, one to my nephew, and one to my brother. They are not technical people, right? They don't even know that this thing has a desktop. They just use it as a console, and I've never gotten a single tech support call. Not one.
You know, that's a very interesting metric that I wish that Valve would release. How many people who own Steam Decks have literally gone to the desktop? I bet there's a lot of people who don't even know a desktop exists on that thing.
And again, that's how
Yeah,
it should be, right? You're not thinking
absolutely.
about
Yeah,
drivers. You start
yeah,
it, you stop it, it plays, it works. If they can replicate that, and that is a big if because we're talking about Microsoft, but if
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
can
True.
replicate that experience in Windows, I think that is a very compelling argument. And it's not about one specific piece of hardware. It is about everyone shipping a Windows device could, at the click of a button, just be made into a console, right? A
Yeah,
console experience.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I know
again, and
exactly what you
Scott
mean.
the Gamer Dude says he hates the Xbox PC app, and that
Mm,
is the biggest if.
we all agree to
That
that one.
Xbox
We all agree to
PC
that
app
one.
tells me I'm not sure that they can pull that off, right?
We shall see.
So
Uh,
yeah,
oh, so let me close the poll because we had a poll up, and the poll was: Will Holtz make it to 2026? Yes, 26%, 28% said yes. 72% said no. They don't expect Herman Holtz to last into 2026. We shall see. We shall see then, gentlemen. But I think we can leave it there today, because I hear you sniffling, sir. I know
yeah.
you're not
One last
feeling
thing,
the
I
best.
just want to give
Okay.
this comment. So a big part of why
Sure,
the Steam
sure.
Deck works is because it's a single hardware configuration. Once
Mm-hmm.
it goes Xbox OS, all configurations will cause issues. Remember the SD. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what he's
Steam Deck.
referring to with SD.
SD. Are we talking SD card? Let's see. Things like shaders. Oh, okay. Things
Things
like
like
shaders will
shaders
be able to
being able to
download right
download right
away.
away,
Yep.
having
Yep.
different graphic card. Yeah, that's all true. But here's the thing: Windows is like, as much as it sucks, it's very good at handling so
Mm-hmm.
much hardware. And the reason Steam OS is out yet is because Valve is not that good yet. In terms of
Yes.
dealing with hardware, they could handle it and they could put a lot of that stuff in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we are actually about to, we have Bazite right now, which I have just
Mm-hmm.
installed on a regular mini PC. Have not had
Mm-hmm.
an issue yet. Steam OS is getting ready to release to the public, and they're working with a partner right now. And so Steam OS is getting ready to be able to handle those things, and that will be a stress test on if an experience like that can handle multiple device configurations. Okay, Steam Deck is Steam Deck. Okay. SD is Steam Deck. So my answer to that question is or that statement is Bazite, and how that works on whatever you want to put it on, unless you have an NVIDIA card. But again, Windows won't have that problem. So yeah, without belaboring the point, we can lock it off now. I do want to continue this conversation, so I hope that Link and everyone else in the chat will come back next week and we can talk more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say again, we don't have this conversation once a week. We're having this conversation on the daily in the Discord. So if you have a chance to and you want to jump on with us, you are always welcome. We have really great conversations in our Discord. So if you haven't had a chance to, come check us out. We appreciate you, jumping on the show on the weekends. But don't hesitate to jump in on the Discord and join our conversation. We always appreciate folks jumping in and having great conversations with us. I think we're about done here on this week's episode. I know that we're not feeling the best as of right now, so I think 2.5 hours is a nice concise time. Before we go though, once again I will reiterate, we're trying really hard to make this year a different, move things forward, do different things with GCP and also the Gaming Circle website itself. There's talk of facelifts that will come to both the channel and to the website. We're still looking into that in the background. Myself and Mr. Everborn Saga, we're looking to be in when June comes about. I keep saying it in that way because there's no real official thing, right? We're not necessarily going to. We'll make ourselves available on the Keeleys and all these other things, but we're going to try real hard to be there to have coverage for you guys on this channel and on this show. Bunch of games, cool indie games that folks are making us, giving us access to. So expect some interesting things afoot in that as well. Oh, I see that super chat. Link, $2 super chat. Why is Everborn hiding behind the PFP today?
That's because I have tissue in my nose, sir. I am sick out of my mind. And today's my daughter's birthday, so I can't even afford to be sick, so I got to go out after this. We're going to the American Dream Mall to the Build-A-Bear so we can
happy birthday to Everborn Saga Jr.
And it no,
female,
this is Sasha. This is Sasha.
This is Sasha. Yes.
Yeah. If you've ever been to a Build-A-Bear, just pray for my wallet.
Yeah, I've been to a Build-A-Bear. Yes, your wallet. You better make sure you leave some cards out today because it ain't gonna come back right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh
but yes,
man, I'm not gonna highlight the comment, but I see what you said, Z Rider Black. Hardy har har.
Oh boy, I see you, Z Rider. That was well good. Well done, sir. Well done. Anyway. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. Thank you.
Oh, did you give the results of the poll?
I did.
Oh, what did we say? Sorry.
72%. 72% said hell no, he won't be there in 2026.
All right. What did Link vote? I want to know what
Link,
that mother
please
said.
what did you say? Let us know what you voted there, Link. That's right. But yes, and I'll get your updates when you post it there, Link. Folks, please, we appreciate you always being here. We appreciate you supporting the channel. I see a whole bunch of people watching. I see a bunch of people that always leave comments. We appreciate that. We always love going back and forth with folks in the chat, in the comment section, in our Discord. Appreciate all the support you guys have provided today. This is really cool, really awesome. This will help us in going to all the various shows and in communicating with all the various people that we do and trying to get more content on the channel. So expect 2025 to be a year of interesting things for GCP and the show and all of that. But Mr. Everborn Saga, until then, where can people keep up with all your ongoings, sir?
You can find me on everbornsaga.com, and you can find me on the timeline, although I've spent a lot less time there. As a matter of fact, don't look for me on the timeline. I'm rarely tweeting these days. Come to the Discord. You can actually literally talk with me every day because we are usually, while everyone works, we all get in the Discord and we argue about stuff, sometimes politics, sometimes technology, gaming industry stuff. Xbox is doomed and then Xbox is back. PlayStation is gonna fire Herman. All that stuff, all this stuff we talk about here. We have GCP episodes almost every day in the Discord. So just come find me there, and please, if you have not checked out any of the books, please go ahead and check it out, and we'll talk again in May when we do our next show. So if you want to
Scott
come
Gamer
out,
Dude is doing it. Shout out to Scott Gamer Dude. He's already in there, and he's also on the Discord as well. Shout out to you, Scott Gamer Dude. Salute to you, sir. And while we're out, not only we got the trifecta in here. Not only did we get Mr. Boomstick in here, we also got his brother Neo Mental. So I think we have a nice coverage of the Boomstick family in the chat today. Shout out to you, Boomstick. I hope you're doing well, sir. But yeah, I think that's it. As for me, you can find me, myself and John Wolf do the Gamers Playground. We did one last week, so we do it every other week because of Mr. Wolf's schedule. So catch us there next week. Next week on this channel, the great Gaming Forte will be joining us. So look forward to that episode. Besides that, though, I think we're done. You'll see some previews and reviews and things from us from all the various interesting shows and the games and stuff that are coming out. Expect some interesting stuff from us.
Lucius Augustus would like to point out this show is very PG-13. The Discord is not.
It's definitely not. No. Yes.
There's a lot of
on this show we shoot lasers because we are PG-13 slander. On the Discord, we shooting bullets, bro. You gotta be careful when you join that Discord. Sometimes it's a little bit too hot for TV, as it were. But we do our best. We have a good time.
Part, as they say.
Not the favorite part.
But Link, we would like to see you in there.
Indeed, yeah. All the great folks we see always in our chats and in our conversations. Join our Discord. If you happen to be a member, you have VIP access. From time to time, I drop a bunch of codes into the VIP section. just to show you guys how much I appreciate y'all. Consider being a member. Every little bit helps us to defray all the costs, all the crazy things that we're trying to do.
I
with
see
the channel
Neo
and the
Mental
website.
and Nerds and Other Legends just joined the Discord. So welcome,
Excellent,
gentlemen.
excellent.
We just
Thank
waiting
you
on
guys
you,
so
Link,
much.
dragging
That's
your
right.
feet.
You and Dorian Gray and
Dorian Gray's in
Roshan.
there already, right?
Oh, he's already in there. Yeah, he's already in there. I have seen him. Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah.
He doesn't join
We
the
love
audio,
the slanderous chat.
but, you know.
Yeah. We love the slanderous chat. We always love that debate back and forth. Always respectful, but we keep it lively. But I think that's it, man. 2 hours and 35 minutes. I think we've been able to keep it nice and concise. I have the rest of the stuff I have to do today. Shout out and happy birthday to Lady Everborn, to Junior Lady Everborn. I'll say it that
Junior, just okay. There's no proper term for this.
I know there's no proper term. We're doing it on the fly. But with that in mind, I think we're done here, sir. Unless there's anything else you want to tell the people.
Oh, I do want to add something. Speaking of Sasha, the young Everborn, I always do this thing. I want to get her on the show one day, because anytime there's like some controversy in the gaming discourse,
you bring her on board.
I talk to her about it and tell her this is what grown men are arguing about, and she always looks at me like we are effing idiots. Like,
you know what you could do for me? Record her.
No, she won't let me.
Interview her. You won't let? Oh, that's unfortunate.
I've tried.
That's unfortunate.
But unfortunate. Like, I told her about the Forza thing, and literally what she said, who cares? Wouldn't you want the game to go more places? She said this to me. She said, you make a comic book. What if you could only sell it on one place? Don't you want to get your comic?
You love the Matrix. What if you could only watch it on the Samsung TV? Like, just weird.
He is 15 years old today.
That's right. That's right.
And she was just right. This is stupid.
Umbra says, ground her immediately. Very good.
And again, this is the next generation of customers that these people are talking to, right? But when she plays a game, she's playing Tokaboka on the tablet. She's playing Genshin Impact or The Sims on the PC. She doesn't care where it is, right? So, if that is the and you people talk to your kids. Like, do they care like we do?
I love my chat, man. This is great. Nerds and Other Legends says, oh, after that statement, birthday canceled. No more birthday for you.
So anyway, I just thought that was funny that I should share that. It's just interesting how worked up we get.
Oh yeah.
Where the upcoming generation of gamers really don't care about that.
And a lot of the way I think and a lot of the way I talk comes from talking closely to my 5-year-old, my 6-year-old, 5, almost 6, and my 8-year-old, who just look at me like, you guys have, like, they look at me like I have 2 heads. Like, it's the weirdest thing, This is what people are complaining about, and they're just like, it's hilarious. It's great. We should do a show. We should work on a show where we peddle our children with questions and get answers for the community. I think that'd be funny. Anyway, I think that's it. We should leave it there. We're done. Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate y'all so much. Always great conversations, both in the Discord and in the panels and on the chats. We love you guys. Always give us a wonderful reason to get up on a Saturday morning and start talking games with all of you. But I think that's it for this week. We'll chat with you guys next week. Until then, stay cool. Go out there, keep the gaming discussions going. I think I saw King David just go live. So go check out King David and tell him that we sent you. But until next week, that's it, man. Until next week. Peace.
Thanks for being on it.